Chapter 2040. After making up his mind, Duan Lingtian wished he could give himself a pair of wings and leave the Zoroastrianism to improve his innate spiritual root. As long as his innate spiritual root transformed into a violet innate spiritual root, he would be able to return in glory and shock the entire Zoroastrianism and the entire upper province of the Tao Martial Saint Land. He would become a rare peerless genius with a violet innate spiritual root in the upper province of the Tao Martial Saint Land. At that time, all he had to do was spread the word that if the Zoroastrianism dared to touch Kerr and their daughter, he would definitely erase the Zoroastrianism from the upper province of the Tao Martial Saint Land. He believed the Zoroastrianism would not dare to touch Kerr and their daughter as long as they could not get rid of him because of his potential. Thank you for the reminder. After regaining his senses, Duan Lingtian thanked Ganru Yin. At the same time, the remaining trace of hatred he had for Ganru Yin disappeared. No matter what, the woman in front of her was still Ku Er's biological sister. She was Ku Er's family. If he continued to argue with her, Kerr would be the one who would be hurt. For this reason, Duan Lingtian decided to let go of the hatred he had for Ganru Yin. Moreover, he was certain Ganru Yin did not intend to harm Kerr at all. You don't have to thank me. Ganru Yin shook her head. Then, she said solemnly, actually, you and I share the same reason. We both want Yu Yin and our daughter to be safe and sound. Don't forget, Yu Yin is my twin sister. She's also Ganru Yin's only sister. I, Ganru Yin, would rather sacrifice my life than let anything happen to Yu Yin. Ganru Yan's tone was resolute and decisive when she spoke. Duan Lingtian nodded his head. Based on Ganru Yan's tone, he could tell Ganru Yin was speaking from the bottom of her heart. After a moment of silence, Duan Lingtian looked at Ganru Yin and said, "There's something I find strange. Why was Kerr the only one chosen to be the saint girl of the Zoroastrianism? Why didn't the Zoroastrianism choose you to be the saint girl? Could it be that the rumor, Kerr's, it's true that she possesses a violet innate spiritual root?" Duan Lingtian's words answered the questions in his heart. Indeed, her innate spiritual root is a violet innate spiritual root. However, that's not the main reason she was chosen to be the saint girl of the Zoroastrianism. Ganru Yin said solemnly when she heard Duan Lingtian's words. Not the main reason? Duan Lingtian was stunned. When he saw Ganru Yin's expression turning solemn, his expression turned solemn as well. What's the main reason? The main reason is that I've only heard my master mention it by chance. I think he said Yu Yin is the reincarnation of a goddess. Ganru Yan's expression turned even more solemn when she spoke. The reincarnation of a goddess. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Ganru Yan's words. If it was in the past, he might have thought it was ridiculous when he heard this. However, he was also a person who had been reincarnated. However, he was the reincarnation of the Earth's soldier elite, not the reincarnation of a goddess or a god. Therefore, when he heard Ganru Yan's words, he did not think it was impossible. Instead, he was shocked. Kerr is the reincarnation of a goddess? Duan Lingtian did not know what to say at this moment. However, he quickly looked at Ganru Yin and asked, "Are you sure you didn't hear wrongly? Your master, the guardian of the Zoroastrianism, said Kerr is the reincarnation of a goddess?" "That's what Master said. However, I'm afraid only the sect leader knows the details." Ganru Yin said, "It doesn't matter if Kerr is the reincarnation of a goddess or not. She's still my woman." A bright light flashed in Duan Lingtian's eyes, and his tone was resolute and decisive as he said, "I'll protect my woman. If the Zoroastrianism dares to lay a finger on her, I'll annihilate the Zoroastrianism in the future and make the Zoroastrianism history of the Tao Martial Saint Land forever." After he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian looked at Ganru Yin and said, "I only have 15 minutes to see you. Now that the 15 minutes are almost up, it's time for me to leave. If the enforcement hall's elders come and ask you why I'm looking for you, you'll have to come up with an excuse." "There's no need for me to answer." Ganru Yin did not mind Duan Lingtian's words at all. She said there was no need for her to answer. Who was she? Apart from being a true disciple who was ranked 7th on the true ranking, the most outstanding female disciple among the younger generation of Zoroastrianism, and one of the 7 prodigies of Zoroastrianism. She was also the direct disciple of Qinghua, one of the 3 great guardians of Zoroastrianism. A mere silver flame elder from the enforcement hall's prison hall did not have the right to make her explain anything. Duan Lingtian was stunned when he heard Gan Ruyan's domineering words. He smiled wryly and said, "I've forgotten that your master is Guardian Qinghua, one of the 3 great guardians. Take care of yourself. It's time for me to leave as well." After he finished speaking, Duan Lingtian turned around and left. Dong, dong. After knocking on the stone door twice, the stone door was opened by the silver flame elder, Meng Qi, who was guarding outside. After Duan Lingtian left, Meng Qi closed the stone door and reactivated the formation that enveloped the stone room. "Let's go." After everything was done, Meng Qi called out to Duan Lingtian and brought Duan Lingtian out of the prison hall again. After leaving the prison hall, Duan Lingtian met up with Lu Yu, who was waiting outside. After Lu Yu greeted Meng Qi and the other silver flame elders from the prison hall, he brought Duan Lingtian out of the prison hall and headed to the main palace of the enforcement hall. "Thank you, Elder Lu Yu." Duan Lingtian did not forget to thank Lu Yu along the way. "If you want to thank someone, you should thank little Yun. However, I hope you won't forget the promise you made to me earlier," Lu Yu said indifferently at first, but after that, he changed the topic and his tone became somewhat serious. "Don't worry, Elder Lu Yu. I, Duan Lingtian, will never go back on my words," Duan Lingtian said confidently. Naturally, he knew what the promise Lu Yu mentioned was. It was nothing more than a reminder for him to sever all ties with Lu Yun in front of others, so that he would not implicate Lu Yun and the Lu clan behind Lu Yun because of his matter. He had already promised Lu Yu this, so he would not go back on his words. Moreover, he was being responsible to Lu Yun by doing this. Otherwise, if something happened to Lu Yun and the Lu clan because of him, he would never be able to forgive himself for the rest of his life. In order to take precautions, he decided that after persuading Lu Yun, he would fall out with Lu Yun and even cut ties with him. As long as the news of him severing ties with Lu Yun spread to the entire saint land of Zoroastrianism, those who targeted him would no longer target Lu Yun because of him. After Duan Lingtian left, Meng Qi returned to the prison hall. Then, he opened the stone chamber where Gan Ruyan was imprisoned and entered it. As soon as he entered, Meng Qi forced a bright smile on his face. He looked at Gan Ruyan and asked, "Miss Ruyan, have you been comfortable here recently?" "Comfortable?" Upon hearing Meng Qi's words, Gan Ruyan smiled coldly. "Why don't we switch places and see if you're comfortable here?" Upon hearing this, Meng Qi could not help but smile awkwardly. "Miss Ruyan." Then, as though he recalled something, Meng Qi asked solemnly, "May I ask, what's the relationship between you and Duan Lingtian who came to look for you?" "Miss Ruyan." He didn't hesitate to use his connections to enter the prison hall just to see you. Moreover, most importantly, he's a new disciple of Zoroastrianism. He only joined Zoroastrianism after you came to the prison hall. Senior Sister Ru Yin. Meng Qi did not hesitate to ask about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Gan Ruyan. He had a feeling that the two of them knew each other. Otherwise, Duan Lingtian would not have used his connections to enter the prison hall just to see Gan Ruyan. "Why do you care about my relationship with him?" Gan Ruyan could not help but smile coldly when she heard Meng Qi's question. She had no intention of answering Meng Qi's question. A hint of displeasure flashed in the depths of Meng Qi's eyes when he saw Gan Ruyan's rudeness. However, he did not dare to show it. He forced a smile and said, "Miss Ruyan, I'm just asking. I don't have any other intentions. It seems like he's your friend, Miss Ruyan." No wonder he would humiliate Wen Yin like that last time. So it turns out that it was because Wen Yin reported the matter of you, young Miss Ruyan. To think that we were bewildered earlier and wondered why a new disciple like him would humiliate Wen Yin for no reason and not others. Meng Qi could not help but sigh as he spoke. When Duan Lingtian mentioned that he was looking for Gan Ruyan, Meng Qi and the other two silver flame elders from the prison hall immediately thought of Wen Yin, who was humiliated by Duan Lingtian. In the past, they thought Duan Lingtian was humiliating Wen Yin without any reason. But now, they didn't think so. This was because Duan Lingtian knew Gan Ruyan. Moreover, he seemed to be very close to Gan Ruyan. Otherwise, he would not have gone to the trouble of coming to the enforcement hall just to see Ganru Yin. Moreover, although the salary that the enforcement hall gives to the true disciples on duty is quite high, to a true disciple like him who possesses 1 million contribution points, it's like a drop in the ocean. Ming Qi continued to say, "It seems like the reason he came to the enforcement hall is to see you. Miss Ru Yin, 1 million contribution points?" Gan Ru Yin was stunned when she heard Meng Qi's words. "What 1 million contribution points? Did you just say he has 1 million contribution points?" Gan Ru Yin was shocked. Duan Lingtian had 1 million contribution points? After all, she had only accumulated about 200,000 contribution points after practicing Zoroastrianism for so many years. Chapter 2041. Yes. Please search for the most complete information. Yes. Meng Qi did not dare to slack off when he heard Gan Ru Yan's question. He quickly nodded in response. He hasn't been in the Zoroastrianism for long, right? How did he get so many contribution points? Gan Ru Yin asked in confusion. She was shocked. When Meng Qi heard Gan Ru Yan's question, he replied again. Although he has only been in the Zoroastrianism for less than a year, almost everything that has happened in the sect has something to do with him. Meng Qi paused for a moment before he continued. As for the 1 million contribution points, he earned them in the Hall of Life and Death when he first came to the Saint Land from the 4 symbol sanctums. Everything that has happened in the sect has something to do with him? Gan Ru Yin was stunned when she heard the first part of Meng Qi's sentence. Gan Ru Yin was puzzled when she heard the second part of Meng Qi's sentence. Hall of Life and Death? Since when can one earn so many contribution points in the Hall of Life and Death? Why haven't I heard of such a good thing before? This matter started when he first came to the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums of the Zoroastrianism. Meng Qi told Gan Ru Yin about how Duan Lingtian had killed Yang Wu, the second son of the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder, as soon as he arrived at the Zoroastrianism. He also mentioned that the eldest son of the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder was the Zoroastrianism's true disciple, Yang Wan. There were more than 170 true disciples in total. Gan Ru Yin had some impression of Yang Wan. However, although Yang Wan was also a true disciple like her, his strength was not enough to be listed on the true ranking. Therefore, she did not pay much attention to Yang Wan. Naturally, she did not pay much attention to a true disciple like Yang Wan. That Yang Wan is actually the eldest son of the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder? When Gan Ru Yin found out that Yang Wan was the eldest son of Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, she was a little surprised as well. She did not expect Yang Wan to be so secretive. Nobody had ever mentioned that he had such an identity before. Of course, even if Yang Wan was the son of the Northern Plethora sect's 5th elder, Gan Ru Yin did not take it to heart. In terms of strength, Yang Wan was far inferior to her. In terms of background, Yang Wan couldn't even compare to her. It's precisely because Duan Lingtian killed Yang Wu that Yang Wan went to look for trouble with him as soon as he arrived at the Saint Land. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, challenged Yang Wan to a death duel as soon as he opened his mouth. In the end, the two of them went to the Hall of Life and Death and signed the life and death contract. When Meng Qi said this, he couldn't help but sigh. From the beginning, Yang Wan and the other Saint Land's disciples thought Duan Lingtian was deliberately mystifying things. However, reality gave them a resounding slap in the face. Yang Wan was killed by Duan Lingtian. Gan Ru Yin was not surprised to hear that Yang Wan was killed by Duan Lingtian. She had just witnessed Duan Lingtian's strength. Even she was far from being a match for him, let alone Yang Wan, who was even weaker than her. As Meng Qi continued to explain in detail, Gan Ru Yin also learned how Duan Lingtian obtained the 1 million contribution points. As it turned out, he had won the contribution points by betting on her victory in the Hall of Life and Death. The bow he took out is also not an ordinary item. Otherwise, Elder Nie Zue wouldn't have given him 200,000 contribution points as collateral. Gan Ru Yin thought to herself. Nie Zue was from the same lineage as her and her master, Qinghua and Nie Zue. In terms of seniority, Nie Zue, the custodian of the Hall of Life and Death, could be considered as her senior brother. For this reason, she knew Nie Zue very well. She knew that Nie Zue was a person who would not do anything without benefits. After learning about the origin of the 1 million contribution points in Duan Lingtian's hands, Gan Ruyin looked at Ming Qi and continued to ask, "You said earlier that he had something to do with all the commotion in the sect in the past year? What commotion? Tell me about it." Gan Ruyin asked further. Gan Ruyin was also curious about the commotion caused by Duan Lingtian. In the face of Gan Ruyin's repeated questions, Ming Qi patiently answered her and told her everything related to Duan Lingtian. Gan Ruyin's expression was very interesting as she listened to Ming Qi's narration. She did not expect Duan Lingtian would cause so many commotion in Zoroastrianism in less than a year. As soon as he entered the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism, he offended the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, Lian. Then, he killed someone in the Vermilion Bird Sanctum, another one of the 4 symbol sanctums. Due to his blue innate spiritual root, he was pardoned by the Enforcement Hall. Wait a minute. Blue innate spiritual root? Are you saying his innate spiritual root is a blue innate spiritual root? When Ming Qi mentioned the grade of Duan Lingtian's innate spiritual root, Gan Ruyin immediately interrupted him with a shocked expression on her face. "Are you sure you're not mistaken?" "No." Ming Qi shook his head. Ming Qi shook his head. His innate spiritual root should be a blue spiritual root. Why? Don't tell me you think his innate spiritual root is only a yellow innate spiritual root? Yellow innate spiritual root? Gan Ruyin completely ignored the second half of Ming Qi's words. How could a person who was only 1 or 2 years older than her possess an innate spiritual root that was much stronger than her and had improved so quickly in just a few years? How could such a person possess a yellow innate spiritual root? In fact, Gan Ruyin did not think Duan Lingtian possessed a blue innate spiritual root. Based on Duan Lingtian's cultivation speed, his innate spiritual root should be at least an indigo innate spiritual root. It might even be a violet innate spiritual root. After all, she knew Duan Lingtian's strength very well a few years ago. Are you saying his innate spiritual root should be a blue innate spiritual root? Why did you add the word should? Gan Ruyin asked. Currently, there's a rumor in the sect that he knows how to conceal his innate spiritual root. If he's concealing his blue innate spiritual root, then his innate spiritual root might be an indigo innate spiritual root or higher, Ming Qi said. Then, he added, of course that's not realistic. Unrealistic? Gan Ruyin did not comment on Ming Qi's words. She was certain Duan Lingtian possessed an indigo or violet innate spiritual root. Gan Ruyin only began to waver when Ming Qi explained the source of Duan Lingtian's strength. His cultivation base is only at the early quintessential saint stage. He's able to defeat a powerhouse at the second form of the saint celestial stage because he has mastered 4 high-grade divine abilities and a strange sword technique. Gan Ruyin was stunned when she heard Ming Qi's words. Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was only at the early quintessential saint stage? This was shocking news to Gan Ruyin. In fact, when Duan Lingtian's unpredictable sword slashed at her, she felt as though she had just brushed shoulders with the Grim Reaper. At that time, she thought Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage or higher. However, Ming Qi was telling her that Duan Lingtian's cultivation base was only at the early quintessential saint stage. An early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator possessed strength comparable to a powerhouse at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage. Although Gan Ruyin was unwilling to believe it, she had no choice but to believe it when Ming Qi continued. Duan Lingtian's strength was comparable to a powerhouse at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage, even though his cultivation base was only at the early quintessential saint stage. If his cultivation base is only at the early quintessential saint stage, his innate spiritual root might be a blue innate spiritual root. Gan Ruyin thought to herself. Soon after, Gan Ruyin learned another shocking news. Duan Lingtian was a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Naturally, she knew what a 9-clawed dragon warrior meant. However, she did not expect Duan Lingtian to be a 9-clawed dragon warrior. Wen Yin? She didn't dare to accept his challenge to a death duel? She was beaten into a pig's head in public? Gan Ruyin felt proud when she heard about the conflict between Duan Lingtian and Wen Yin. It was as though she was the one who had humiliated Wen Yin and not Duan Lingtian. Sister, You've really found yourself a good man. He went into the tiger's den for you, and even risked defending a golden flame elder to avenge you. At this moment, Gan Yan's impression of Duan Lingtian changed drastically. Gan Yan knew her place. Duan Lingtian did not teach Wen Yin a lesson because of her. He must have taught her a lesson because of her twin sister and her niece. However, a hint of dread appeared in Gan Yan's eyes when she learned Duan Lingtian had offended Dong Lin in order to join the enforcement hall. Dong Lin was the only son of one of the vice hall masters in the enforcement hall. Duan Lingtian had offended him and would have to stay in the enforcement hall for a month. His life would not be easy in the future. Perhaps Dong Lin was not as strong as Duan Lingtian, but he did not need to personally make a move in the enforcement hall if he wanted to take revenge on Duan Lingtian. Elder Meng Qi, I have a favor to ask of you. Gan Yin looked at Meng Qi and said seriously, Miss Yin, feel free to speak your mind. Meng Qi said with a smile on his face. To him, the woman before him was like a grandaunt. If he neglected her and Guardian Xinghua found out about it, then even if he didn't die, he would still lose a layer of skin as an elder of the enforcement hall. Please pass this voice transmission jade slip to my master on my behalf. Gan Yin took out a voice transmission jade slip and transmitted her voice into it before passing it to Meng Qi. All right. Meng Qi agreed immediately after receiving the voice transmission jade slip. The message that Gan Yin left in the voice transmission jade slip was very simple. She asked her master to take care of Duan Lingtian. Of course, she didn't reveal Duan Lingtian's identity as her brother-in-law. She only said he was a friend she'd gotten to know when she was training outside, and the reason he'd wantonly humiliated Wen Yin was because he was standing up for her. She had mentioned Wen Yin because she wanted her master to resonate with her against a common enemy. After all, her master hated Wen Yin to the core for reporting her. Chapter 2042. However, although her master hated Wen Yin, it was not convenient for him to make a move on her. After all, her master was one of the three great guardians of Zoroastrianism. If he made a move on a disciple of Zoroastrianism, people would laugh their heads off. At that time, the people of Zoroastrianism might even become the laughingstock of the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Duan Lingtian, this is all I can do for you. After Meng Qi left with the voice transmission jade slip, Gan Yin, who was all alone, muttered to herself. Just as he was about to leave the prison hall with the voice transmission jade token that Gan Yin had given him and was about to leave the enforcement hall, Duan Lingtian returned to the main hall of the enforcement hall. The first thing he did when he returned was to look for Lu Yun. He would never forget the promise he made to Lu Yu. Junior brother Lingtian, did you see the Saint girl and her daughter? Lu Yun could not help but ask when he saw Duan Lingtian had returned. No. Duan Lingtian shook his head with a wry smile on his face. They're not with Gan Yin. I only saw Gan Yin. What a pity. Lu Yun sighed when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. At the same time, he began to console Duan Lingtian. Junior brother Lingtian, I'll find some time to ask my great-grandfather if I can help you find a chance to meet the Saint girl and her daughter. Thank you, senior brother Lu Yun. Although Duan Lingtian knew it was almost impossible for Lu Yun to do what he said, he still thanked him. No matter what, Lu Yun had good intentions. Senior brother Lu Yun. After a series of expressions flashed across his face, Duan Lingtian gritted his teeth as though he had made up his mind. He looked at Lu Yun. Seeing Duan Lingtian suddenly looking over with a serious expression, Lu Yun could not help but be stunned. He asked in confusion, Junior brother Lingtian, do you have something to say? Senior brother Lu Yun, we might not have known each other for long, but we've already exchanged our hearts. Duan Lingtian's serious expression caused Lu Yun to shake his head and smile. However, Duan Lingtian's next sentence completely froze the smile on Lu Yun's face. Senior brother Lu Yun, from today onwards, let's not interact with each other anymore. It was precisely these words that caused the smile on Lu Yun's face to completely disappear. Subsequently, he looked at Duan Lingtian with an expression of disbelief. Junior Lingtian, what do you mean by this? Could it be that you feel that I, Lu Yun, am climbing up your social ladder by interacting with you? As he spoke, Lu Yun's tone changed. Of course not. Duan Lingtian knew that Lu Yun had misunderstood. He could not help but smile bitterly. Senior brother Lu Yun, in my heart, you'll always be my senior brother and my friend. However, you're not alone. You have a family behind you. Moreover, even if you were alone, I would still make the same decision today. Although I haven't been in Zoroastrianism for long, I've offended many people, especially Dong Lin, who I've offended recently. His father is the Vice Hall Master of the Law Enforcement Hall. Although I'm not afraid of him, I don't want to drag you and your family down with me. Duan Lingtian's words were from the bottom of his heart. Did great-grandfather ask you to do this? Lu Yun's expression was slightly ugly as he asked in a deep voice. He could vaguely guess some things. Senior brother Lu Yun, there are some things that if I don't want to do, no one can persuade me or force me to do them. This decision is also my decision. The friendship between you and me, as well as the friendship between me and senior brother Lu Mu, will never change. However, based on the current situation, it's best for us to keep a distance. Duan Lingtian said seriously, I promise you, I'll definitely get rid of all the hidden dangers in the future. At that time, we'll drink and chat happily. We won't have to worry about our relationship anymore. Lu Yun's expression changed drastically when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. At most, I'll just leave the family. In the end, Lu Yun gritted his teeth and made the decision to leave the Lu family. This way, he would not have to worry about dragging the Lu family down with him. Senior brother Lu Yun, you can't do this. Duan Lingtian was shocked. However, his heart was filled with warmth. He did not expect Lu Yun would leave the Lu family for his friend and his family. In the end, it was Duan Lingtian who pretended to fall out with him. Only then did Lu Yun reluctantly agree to follow Duan Lingtian's instructions. That day, a shocking piece of news spread out from the enforcement hall's main hall. Duan Lingtian had a conflict with his old friend, Lu Yun, and injured him. After that, an elder of Lu Yun's family, the enforcement hall's silver flame elder Lu Yu, taught Duan Lingtian a lesson. Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun broke off their relationship and became strangers from then on. The entire Zoroastrianism Saint Land was in an uproar. Senior brother Duan Lingtian and senior brother Lu Yun broke off their relationship? Why is that so? Haven't both of them always been on good terms? Why did they break off just like that? Many disciples of the Holy Lands were dumbfounded when they heard the news. They had no idea what was going on. Brother Yun and junior brother Lingtian broke off their relationship? The person with the biggest reaction was none other than Lu Mu. Compared to his cousin, Lu Yun, he knew Duan Lingtian much earlier. It could be said that Lu Yun knew Duan Lingtian through him. In his impression, junior brother Lingtian was not someone who would create trouble out of nothing. In that case, could it be that it was his cousin's fault? Lu Mu was extremely anxious. He could not wait to go to the enforcement hall and ask Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun what was going on. However, Zoroastrianism elders and disciples could not enter the enforcement hall because of personal matters. For this reason, he could not go to the enforcement hall to look for Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun even if he wanted to. He could only wait until Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun's term of duty ended a month later. He could only ask them when they returned. In the enforcement hall's main hall, the main hall was huge. Dong Lin, the enforcement hall's bronze flame elder, lived in it as well. Duan Lingtian broke off with Lu Yun? Dong Lin was stunned when he heard the news. Then, he sneered and said, Duan Lingtian, you're really a loner. It's not easy for you to make a friend, but you've fallen out with him just like that. Unfortunately, that elder Lu Yu was too lenient and didn't do anything to you. However, even if elder Lu Yu didn't do anything to you, it doesn't mean I'll do the same to you. The moment Dong Lin thought of this, he left his residence in the enforcement hall's main hall. The eastern side of the enforcement hall was the forbidden area of the enforcement hall. The hall master and a few vice hall masters of the enforcement hall usually cultivated there. Naturally, this was a forbidden area for the ordinary enforcement hall's elders and disciples. They were not allowed to enter without reason. However, Dong Lin was an exception. This was because he was the only son of Dong Yuanjin, one of the 3 vice hall masters of the enforcement hall. Nobody would say anything even if he entered and left this place frequently. In a quiet valley, birds were chirping and flowers were fragrant. There was a waterfall in the north, and one could vaguely hear the sound of water splashing from the waterfall. In the open space in front of the waterfall, there was a mansion. The mansion was surrounded by mountains and water. It looked very comfortable. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew past, and Dong Lin appeared in front of the mansion. Young master. As soon as Dong Lin appeared in front of the mansion, a figure gradually materialized in front of him. It was an old man dressed in plain clothes. The old man was skinny, and he looked inconspicuous as he stood there like a withered tree. Elder Yang. Even someone as arrogant as Dong Lin had to greet such an inconspicuous old man respectfully when he saw him. The old man in front of him was his father's servant. However, he knew very well in his heart, this old man's strength was not much weaker than his father's. In Zoroastrianism, he would definitely be a golden flame elder. Young master, you're here to look for master? The old man asked. His voice was slightly hoarse as though he was about to die. Yes. Dong Lin nodded. At the same time, a hint of hatred flashed in his eyes. Dong Yuanjin was one of the 3 vice hall masters of the enforcement hall. He was a middle-aged man with a sturdy body. He stood in the backyard of the mansion like an iron tower. Father. Dong Lin, who was led to the backyard by Elder Yang, bowed respectfully when he saw Dong Yuanjin. Yes. Usually, Dong Yuanjin was very strict in front of Dong Lin. Although he doted on his son a lot, he would still put on a stern face to help his son grow. He was afraid his son would slack off in his cultivation because he was too fond of him. That was not something he wanted to see. In this world where the strong were respected, the strong were the ones who ruled. Before he broke through to the 7th form of the Saint Celestial stage, he would eventually die of old age. It was impossible for him to protect his son forever. Father, Dong Lin opened his mouth but was interrupted by Dong Yuanjin before he could finish his words. Are you here to ask me to send someone to teach that Duan Lingtian a lesson? Dong Yuanjin interrupted Dong Lin and asked calmly. His wise eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. Yes. Dong Lin gritted his teeth and nodded in the end. As your father, logically speaking, I hope that you can use your own strength to solve this matter. However, I heard that kid called Duan Lingtian is very strange, and you're not a match for him. Based on Dong Yuanjin's words, it was obvious he had heard of Duan Lingtian. Naturally, he did not think much of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian's strength was comparable to a powerhouse at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage, and was comparable to a powerhouse at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage. However, as one of the Vice Hall Masters of the Enforcement Hall of Zoroastrianism, Dong Yuanjin was much stronger than most Golden Flame Elders. He was close to breaking through to the 6th form of the Saint Celestial stage. Chapter 2043. I'm useless. I've embarrassed you, father. Upon hearing Dong Yuanjin's words, Dong Lin lowered his head in shame. However, his eyes gleamed coldly. Naturally, the coldness in his eyes was not directed at his father. It was directed at Duan Lingtian. If it was not for Duan Lingtian, he would not have come to his father to avenge him. If he had not come to his father to avenge him, he would not have heard his father's words that were filled with disappointment. From the beginning until the end, Dong Lin resented Duan Lingtian. He did not expect it was all because he was useless. Moreover, he was not the one who provoked Duan Lingtian first. If he had a backbone, he could have relied on his own efforts to cultivate and seek revenge. Why would he come to his father for help? Your innate spiritual root is the same as his. Both of you have a blue innate spiritual root. I hope you'll be able to defeat him with your own strength one day, instead of coming to me to teach him a lesson. Dong Yuanjin looked at Dong Lin solemnly and said, As for this time, I'll ask Elder Yang to speak to Tian Dong. You can look for Tian Dong tomorrow. Elder Tian Dong? Upon hearing Dong Yuanjin's words, Dong Lin's eyes lit up immediately. An excited expression could be seen on his face. Tian Dong was the first Silver Flame Elder of the Enforcement Hall. He had received his father's favor in the past and was considered one of his subordinates. How could Dong Lin not be excited when he heard his father was going to ask Tian Dong to teach Duan Lingtian a lesson? When Dong Yuanjin saw that Dong Lin was so excited after hearing his words, a hint of disappointment appeared in his eyes. He shook his head, turned around, and left the backyard to return to his residence. Although he was disappointed, there was nothing he could do. After all, Dong Lin was his only son. He was everything to him. Regardless of whether his son was useful or not, Dong Lin was his lifeblood and everything to him. Naturally, he could not stand it when someone bullied his son. Although Duan Lingtian had bullied his son, he did not cross the line. Due to this reason, it was inconvenient for him to make a move. "Farewell, father." At the same time, Dong Lin regained his senses and said respectfully as he watched Dong Yuanjin leave, "Elder Yang, I'll go back first. I'll look for Elder Tiandong tomorrow. You must remember to look for Elder Tiandong today." Before leaving, Dong Lin looked at Elder Yang and reminded him, "I'll go now." It wasn't until he saw Old Man Yang rising into the air that Dong Lin left in satisfaction. Looking at Dong Lin's back, Elder Yang let out a long sigh and muttered, "It's no wonder that Master is disappointed with the young master." Duan Lingtian was naturally unaware that Dong Lin had gone to look for his father, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall, Dong Yuanjin, to stand up for him. Right now, Duan Lingtian was seriously cultivating on the 4th floor of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. His next goal was to break through to the Intermediate Exemplary Saint stage. In that case, he would be able to defeat ordinary powerhouses at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage, even without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Naturally, he would only be able to defeat ordinary powerhouses at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage. Even if he had broken through to the Intermediate Exemplary Saint stage, he would still be no match for powerhouses at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage, like Wen Yin, if he did not use the Jasper Celestial Sword. He would not be able to defeat powerhouses at the same level as Ganru Yin. In terms of strength, powerhouses at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage were divided. For example, Ganru Yin could barely be ranked on the Supreme Saint ranking in the Dao Martial Saintland. On the other hand, powerhouses like Wen Yin and Lu Yun were not even qualified to be ranked on the Supreme Saint ranking. If I break through to the Intermediate Exemplary Saint stage, I should be able to defeat senior brother Lu Yun without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. If I break through to the Mastery Exemplary Saint stage, I should be able to defeat Wen Yin without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. As for Ker's sister, Ganru Yin, who's a powerhouse at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage, I'm afraid I'll have to break through to the peak of the Exemplary Saint stage to defeat her without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Duan Lingtian had not wasted his time in the Saint land of Zoroastrianism. He now had a clear understanding of the strength levels of powerhouses at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage. Ganru Yin isn't even at the peak of the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage. I'll have to break through to the Intermediate Quintessential Saint stage if I want to defeat a powerhouse at the peak of the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage without using the Jasper Celestial Sword. Duan Lingtian was well aware of this as well. Although the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage was just a cultivation base, there was a huge difference between those at the peak of the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage and those who had just broken through to the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage. The gap between each of the 9 forms of the Saint Celestial stage was huge. It was comparable to the gap between the Exemplary Saint stage and the Quintessential Saint stage and the Divine Saint stage and the Exemplary Saint stage. Due to this reason, Duan Lingtian's cultivation speed was insane. He knew he had to raise his cultivation base as soon as possible if he wanted to rescue Kerr and their daughter. He wanted to be strong enough to rescue Kerr and their daughter before the sect leader of Zoroastrianism came out of closed-door cultivation. Otherwise, who knew what would happen after the sect leader of Zoroastrianism came out of closed-door cultivation? Duan Lingtian did not want any unforeseen circumstances to happen. The night passed by quickly. To Duan Lingtian, one night in the outside world was equivalent to 5 days in the 4th level of the Seven Treasures Exquisite Pagoda. Due to this reason, he also cultivated properly. His cultivation base was getting closer and closer to the Intermediate Exemplary Saint stage. Just as Duan Lingtian was about to leave his residence in the main hall of the Enforcement Hall and head to the patrol post on the west side of the Enforcement Hall, a voice rang out. In a mysterious, eerie, and strange place, Zhu Luqi cut a sorry figure. That was right. Zhu Luqi was the former palace master of Heaven Palace in the Debussy subterranean quasi-third-rate force, the mystical sky mansion. Due to the fact that he had cultivated the devouring dark devil technique, he was no longer tolerated by the people in the Debussy subterranean. However, he had followed Duan Lingtian to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land and joined one of the three great sects, Zoroastrianism. He had even joined the White Tiger Sanctum, one of the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism. Before Duan Lingtian entered the Zoroastrianism Saintland, he had asked the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, Guoxiong, to help him send Zhu Luqi to the inter-province transportation formation in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland, so that he could send Zhu Luqi back to the Debussy subterranean. Duan Lingtian had asked Zhu Luqi to return to the Debussy subterranean because he wanted Zhu Luqi to inform the Azure Cloud Mansion. After all, he had offended Lian in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland because of Zoroastrianism. Moreover, he had formed a feud with Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Now that he had exposed his identity as a nine-clawed dragon warrior, Lian and Yang Chong would most likely guess that he was from the lower province. If Lian or Yang Chong sent someone to the lower province to investigate, they would be able to find out about his background in just a short time. This was because although not everyone in the lower province knew about his name, Duan Lingtian, in the Debussy subterranean, there were many people who knew about it. Whether it was Lian or Yang Chong, as long as they sent someone to the lower province, they would definitely find out he was from the quasi-third-rate force, the Azure Cloud Mansion. At that time, the Azure Cloud Mansion would definitely be annihilated. Under such circumstances, Duan Lingtian chose to send Zhu Luqi back to the Azure Cloud Mansion in the Debussy subterranean first to report the matter. Duan Lingtian believed that as long as his father, Duan Rufeng, received the news in advance, he would definitely be able to arrange everything in a short time and successfully avoid the annihilation. However, Duan Lingtian did not expect this at all. After Zhu Luqi entered the inter-province transportation formation, something unexpected happened. He was not sent to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Instead, he was sent to a mysterious, eerie, and strange place. This place was filled with a grayish haze. The sky here was dark. There was no distinction between day and night. Recently, Zhu Luqi had already gotten used to this. What's this place? It doesn't seem like the lower province of the Dao Martial Saintland, nor the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Zhu Luqi raised his head to look at the sky. A blood-red moon hung in the sky as though it was dyed in blood. It was extremely eerie and strange. It was the moon that lit up the dark sky. The heaven and earth spirit energy here is even worse than the lower province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Moreover, I feel like I've been walking around here for a few months, but I haven't seen a single living person at all. Let alone a human, I haven't even seen a single beast. Walking in the barren forest in a daze, Zhu Luqi felt extremely depressed as he walked past the withered trees. He felt like he was going crazy. Since there was no distinction between day and night here, he did not know how long he had been here. However, it felt like a long time had passed. It felt like a few months. Naturally, the truth was that Zhu Luqi had not been here for that long. It was just that the atmosphere here was too eerie and strange. Moreover, he could not see any living things. As time passed, he began to feel extremely frustrated. He felt like he had been here for a long time. Zhu Luqi felt disgusted by this place from the bottom of his heart. However, he did not know how to get back. What's going on with the inter-province transportation formation? Why did I end up in such a godforsaken place? What's this place? Zhu Luqi was extremely frustrated. He was on the verge of breaking down. However, when he was on the verge of breaking down, he calmed down a little and carefully observed his surroundings. In the end, he realized he seemed to be walking in the same spot all the way. The scenery he experienced kept repeating. It was as though he was trapped in a dead end. Illusory formation? At this moment, Zhu Luqi's heart jolted. At the same time, he came to a halt and did not continue to move forward. This was because he realized it would be useless even if he continued to move forward. In the end, he was still walking in the same spot. This fellow seems to have noticed me. Chapter 2044. As soon as the voice rang in the air, two monsters with the heads of cows and the bodies of humans shrouded in black mist appeared in front of Zhu Luqi. Zhu Luqi also discovered that he was in a different place. Apart from the dark sky and the blood-red moon, the withered trees and the barren forest had disappeared. He was now in a barren valley. The two monsters standing in the air in front of him were staring at him with their blood-red eyes that were as big as gongs. Who are you? Zhu Luqi felt his scalp tingle as he looked at the two monsters in front of him. Both of them were extremely dangerous. Moreover, the devil chi they emitted was even purer and more exaggerated than a devil cultivator like him. Human? Upon hearing Zhu Luqi's words, the two monsters looked at each other and saw shock in each other's eyes. He said, human? One of the monsters asked excitedly.
Yes.
The other monster was excited as well. When I used the seduction technique earlier, I noticed the devil chi in his body was not pure. As it turns out, he's a human. Why would a human appear in the exiled realm? Could it be that he's from the Saint Province realm? According to the ancient legends, apart from the Devata realms and the mundane realms, only the Saint Province realm, which is adjacent to the exiled realm, has humans in the mundane realm. However, isn't there a spatial barrier between the exiled realm and the Saint Province realm? Haven't we, the powerhouses of the exiled plane, dreamt of breaking that barrier for hundreds of thousands of years, but we've never succeeded? Could it be that this human discovered the spatial barrier and came here from the Saint Province realm? The two monsters with the heads of cows and the bodies of humans discussed as though there was no one else around. When their words entered Zhu Luqi's ears, he was confused. He had heard of the Devata realms and the mundane realms. However, he had never heard of the exiled realm or the Saint Province realm. Of course, he also vaguely realized the Saint Province realm mentioned by the two cow-headed men was the Dao Martial Saint land where he was originally from. However, he had never heard of the exiled realm when he was in the Dao Martial Saint land. You're not human? Then what exactly are you? Taking a deep breath, Zhu Luqi mustered up his courage and asked. He was too curious about the identity of the two monsters in front of him. Judging by their tone, they were not humans at all. Besides, Zhu Luqi did not think they were saint beasts. Generally speaking, saint beasts would either be in their beast form or human form. They would never appear in such a strange form. This was the first time he had seen such a monster with the head of a cow and the body of a human. Not only was this the first time he had seen one, he had never even heard of such a monster that was neither human nor beast. He asked what we are. The two monsters began to talk again. Has he never heard of devils? I think he hasn't. Otherwise, he would have recognized us as devils. He can't even recognize us as devils. Does this mean he won't be able to recognize us as members of the Ox Devil clan? That's for sure. The conversation between the two monsters with the head of a cow and the body of a human entered Zhu Luqi's ears. Horror dawned on Zhu Luqi immediately. Devils? You're devils? When Zhu Luqi looked at the two monsters again, it was as though he had just seen a ghost. He exclaimed, If both of you are devils, don't tell me this is the land of exile, the homeland of the legendary devils in our Dao Martial Saint land? Zhu Luqi had learned about the land of exile when he was in the White Tiger Sanctum of Zoroastrianism. Other than cultivating, he also liked to flip through all kinds of ancient books and records. When he was in the White Tiger Sanctum, he had read a very ancient book that introduced the land of exile. According to legend, a long time ago, there was a great human-devil war in the Dao Martial Saint land. It was said that during that era, a group of devils came from a place that the people of the Dao Martial Saint land had never heard of before and invaded the Dao Martial Saint land. That era was also known as the Human Devil era, and the place where those demons came from was also known as the Land of Exile. During the Human Devil era, the Great Human Devil War had almost turned the world upside down. Although the humans managed to defeat the devils in the end, it also caused a great reshuffle in the Dao Martial Saint land. Many powerful forces disappeared and ceased to exist. It was also at that time that the three great sects were born. Devil cultivators began to appear at that time as well. Devil cultivators were human martial and Dao cultivators who had mastered some of the Devil clan's cultivation techniques. As time went by, the devils returned to the land of exile and no longer showed themselves. The peaceful days caused the people of the Dao martial saint land to gradually forget about the devils who had invaded their homeland. In the end, the Dao martial saint land was divided into two, the Upper Province and the Upper Province. At that time, everything about the land of exile and the devils was gradually forgotten by the people of the Dao martial saint land. It was only recorded in words that existed in the three great sections. Legend has it that the reason the devils were able to invade the Dao martial saint land from the land of exile was because they had spent 1,000,000 years to set up an earth-shattering devil formation that broke the space barrier between the land of exile and the Dao martial saint land. Zhu Luqi recalled the words he had read in the book. In the end, the great human-devil war broke out. The devils were defeated and were chased back to the land of exile. At that time, the powerful figures among the humans had set up a grand sealing formation to forcefully seal the gap in the space barrier. If the devils wanted to make a comeback, they would have to spend at least a few 100,000 years or even a few million years before they could break the space barrier again. However, it has only been a few 100,000 years since the human-devil era. Does this mean that I was sent to the land of exile by a faulty interdomain teleportation formation? Zhu Luqi's expression turned grave when he thought about this. Not even in his wildest dreams did he think he would be so unlucky one day. The land of exile was not a good place for him. Dao, martial saint land? The two minotaurs heard Zhu Luqi's exclamation and turned to look at Zhu Luqi. Legend has it that the Dao martial saint land is the main continent of the Saint Province realm. It seems like he's really from the Saint Province realm. Let's bring him back to our clan. Perhaps we'll be able to find a passage to the Saint Province realm through him. Legend has it that the Saint Province realm is very rich. Not only is the cultivation environment 100 or 1,000 times better than the land of exile, but it's also filled with countless saint stones and mineral resources. At this point, the two monsters' eyes lit up as they looked at Zhu Luqi. As soon as the two minotaurs finished speaking, Zhu Luqi made his move, intending to escape. However, before he could take more than a few steps, one of the minotaurs caught up to him and grabbed him like an eagle catching a chick. Their strength was not on the same level at all. Both of the minotaurs were 3 meters tall. One of the minotaurs carried Zhu Luqi as though he was carrying a very light item. Let's go. Bring him back to the clan. Then, the two minotaurs carried Zhu Luqi away. Based on their conversation, it was clear they were members of the Ox Devil clan and the Devil clans. They were two Ox Devils. Duan Lingtian, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you inform your clan anymore. When Zhu Luqi was captured by the two Ox Devils, he was already prepared to die. He felt helpless when he thought about Duan Lingtian's request. At this moment, he could only hope that Duan Lingtian would go to the lower province of the Dao martial saint land to warn his clan. Naturally, he knew it was impossible. As the saying went, there are always exceptions. While Zhu Luqi was being brought back to the Ox Devil clan by the two Ox Devils, Lian, the first silver flame elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism, had arrived at the lower province of the Dao martial saint land with the people Yang Chong, the 5th elder of the Northern Plethora sect, had arranged for him. Greetings, lords. The watchers from the Dao martial saint land quickly bowed respectfully when they saw Lian and the others who were charging at them menacingly. He was only an early quintessential saint stage martial cultivator. However, even the weakest person in this group of people was at the saint celestial stage or above. As someone who came from a first-rate force in the upper province of the Dao martial saint land and had seen much of the world, he could sense this. Have you seen this person before? Lian raised his hand and opened a portrait. It was a handsome young man in the portrait. The portrait showed Duan Lingtian's appearance after he had disguised himself. It was also his appearance when he was in the fire worship sect. It's very likely that he's from the lower province of the Dao martial saint land. If he's from the lower province, you must have seen him before. Do you find him familiar? Lian asked in a deep voice. His aura surged out and pressed down on the watcher of the Debussy subterranean. The watcher's face turned pale. However, he shook his head in the end. I've never seen him before. And what he said was indeed the truth. He's called Duan Lingtian. Are you sure you've never seen him before? Lian asked again. Duan Lingtian? Chapter 2045. What? You know about the Duan Lingtian? Although the surprise in the Debussy's subterranean watcher's eyes only flashed for a moment, it was still noticed by Lian, who was observant. When he spoke again, a powerful aura surged out of Lian's body again and pressed down on the watcher. The moment the watcher's face turned pale, Lian's spiritual energy had already extended out and entered the watcher's mind domineeringly. He cast the soul-searching secret tactic. The moment the soul-searching secret tactic was cast, it directly controlled the watcher's mind. You know the Duan Lingtian? Lian asked in a deep voice after he controlled the watcher.
Yes.
The watcher, whose eyes were blank and had a blank expression on his face, nodded immediately when he heard Lian's question. His expression was dull, as though he had lost his soul. When Lian heard the watcher's words, his eyes lit up immediately. However, his expression turned grave at the same time. Then why did you say you've never seen the person in the portrait when I asked you if you've seen him before? I've never seen the person in the portrait before. The watcher replied. The Duan Lingtian you know doesn't look like that? When Lian heard the watcher's words, he could not help but frown. Could it be that the Duan Lingtian the watcher knew was not the same person as the Duan Lingtian who practiced Zoroastrianism? Lian was certain that the Duan Lingtian who practiced Zoroastrianism did not have any signs of disguise on his face. He was also certain that the watcher before him had already cast the soul-searching secret tactic on him. It was impossible for him to lie to him. He doesn't look like that. When the watcher heard Lian's question, he continued to reply dully. He said bluntly that the Duan Lingtian he knew was not the person in the portrait in Lian's hand. Tell me about the Duan Lingtian you know. Tell me everything you know. Don't hide anything from me. Lian asked further. Although Lian was almost certain that the Duan Lingtian he was looking for was not the same person as the Duan Lingtian mentioned by the watcher, he could not help but want to confirm it further. Logically speaking, a name like Duan Lingtian was not common. Most importantly, since the watcher knew the Duan Lingtian, it meant that the Duan Lingtian he mentioned was not an ordinary person in the Debussy's subterranean. And the Duan Lingtian of Zoroastrianism was no ordinary person. Lian subconsciously felt that it couldn't be so coincidental. They're both called Duan Lingtian, and they're both so extraordinary. It was because of this that he continued to question the person in front of him. Currently, the watcher in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land was affected by Lian's soul-searching secret tactic. Naturally, he would tell Lian everything he knew. Following that, he began to recount everything about Duan Lingtian in his memory in full detail. From the Guardian, Lian learned that the Duan Lingtian of the Debussy subterranean was a peerless genius. Naturally, the peerless genius referred to the peerless genius of the Debussy subterranean. In the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, only those with violet innate spiritual roots were qualified to be called peerless geniuses. Not long ago, he went from the lower province to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land through the inter-province transportation formation. Lian's eyes lit up when he heard that the Duan Lingtian of the Debussy subterranean had gone to the upper province not long ago. He knows a mysterious disguising secret tactic. Ordinary people won't be able to see through his disguise even if they use their divine consciousness or spiritual energy. When Lian learned about this from the watcher, he was certain of it. The Duan Lingtian the watcher mentioned was none other than the Duan Lingtian who had offended him during the Zoroastrianism. However, the Duan Lingtian of the Zoroastrianism had used the disguising secret tactic to disguise himself. Due to the unique disguising secret tactic that Duan Lingtian had mastered, even he could not see through the Duan Lingtian's disguise. Duan Lingtian is the young mansion master of the Azure Cloud Mansion, a quasi-third-rate force in the Debussy subterranean. Lian's eyes gleamed coldly when he confirmed the two Duan Lingtian were the same person. Does this mean his family is in the Azure Cloud Mansion? Where's the Azure Cloud Mansion? Lian asked in a slightly anxious tone as he looked at the watcher. After Lian obtained the answer from the watcher, he immediately soared into the sky and flew toward the Azure Cloud Mansion at lightning speed. The group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses sent by Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, to follow Lian also soared into the sky and followed him. The group of people made their way to the Azure Cloud Mansion in a mighty manner. At this moment, the Azure Cloud Mansion was quiet. The people inside were completely unaware that a bloody storm was about to befall them. A huge crisis was about to engulf the Azure Cloud Mansion, a third-rate force in the WCI subterranean. Duan Lingtian, who was in the Zoroastrianism in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, was completely unaware of this. He thought his father, Duan Rufeng, would immediately bring his family and friends away from the Azure Cloud Mansion and hide since Zhu Luqi had informed him. However, it did not cross his mind that Duan Lingtian would be teleported to the Azure Cloud Mansion. When Zhu Luqi was using the inter-province transportation formation, he was accidentally sent to the Land of Exile where the devils were gathered. The Land of Exile was a realm that was adjacent to the Dao Martial Saint Land and the three great mortal realms. Both realms belonged to the same mundane realm. Naturally, the Dao Martial Saint Land referred to the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. As for the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, it was a pseudo-realm that included the Dao Martial Saint Land and the three great mortal realms. Due to the fact that Zhu Luqi was sent to the Land of Exile, Duan Rufeng and the others who were in the Azure Cloud Mansion did not receive any news at all. They were completely unaware that a huge crisis was about to befall them. It's really boring to patrol the enforcement hall. At this moment, Duan Lingtian was on patrol duty in the enforcement hall. For the next month, he would be patrolling the enforcement hall's area. All of a sudden, Duan Lingtian, who was patrolling, seemed to have noticed something as he looked in the direction of the enforcement hall's main palace. Whoosh! Whoosh! Almost as soon as Duan Lingtian looked over, two figures shot over and appeared near him in just a blink of an eye. Dong Lin? When the two figures came to a halt, Duan Lingtian immediately recognized one of them. It was Dong Lin, who had made things difficult for him in the Fire Remuneration Palace. He was also the only son of Dong Yuanjin, the vice hall master of the enforcement hall. Apart from Dong Lin, Duan Lingtian did not recognize the other person. He was a middle-aged man with an ordinary appearance and a medium build. He was the type of person who would not stand out in a crowd. Currently, he was looking at Duan Lingtian calmly when he appeared in front of Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian could not tell what his purpose was. It's Elder Dong Lin. My goodness. It's Elder Tian Dong. Why is he here? Almost as soon as Dong Lin and the middle-aged man appeared near Duan Lingtian, the few bronze flame elders who were patrolling the area began to approach as well. As they spoke, their tone was filled with astonishment. Elder Tian Dong? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow when he heard the bronze flame elder's words. He was familiar with the name Tian Dong. Yesterday, before he cut ties with Lu Yun, he had also heard Lu Yun mention this name. Tian Dong was one of the best among the Zoroastrianism Silver Flame Elders. In terms of strength, he could be ranked in the top 3 among the Silver Flame Elders. In the Zoroastrianism's Enforcement Hall, Tian Dong was undoubtedly the first Silver Flame Elder. The first Silver Flame Elder of the Enforcement Hall. For this reason, Duan Lingtian was slightly surprised when he found out the middle-aged man standing next to Dong Lin was Tian Dong. He did not expect Dong Lin to be able to find this Enforcement Hall's elder to help him. To be more precise, he did not expect Dong Lin's father to be so influential to be able to get an Enforcement Hall's elder to help Dong Lin. Before Duan Lingtian found out about Tian Dong's identity, he had already guessed that the middle-aged man who came with Dong Lin was Dong Lin's helper to deal with him. Everything was going according to his plan. After he arrived at the enforcement hall, Dong Lin would definitely find someone to cause trouble for him. Although he might not be able to kill him or even cripple him, he would definitely torture him. Duan Lingtian, we meet again. Dong Lin looked at Duan Lingtian with a smug smile on his face. His eyes were burning with fire as though they could burn everything. At this moment, Dong Lin no longer had the servile attitude he had when he apologized to Duan Lingtian earlier. It was as though he was a villain intoxicated by success. The reason he dared to behave in this manner in front of Duan Lingtian was, naturally, because he had Tian Dong by his side to help him. With Tian Dong around, he could only stand up straight. Otherwise, he would not have dared to be so arrogant in front of Duan Lingtian. Yes, we meet again. Facing the smug Dong Lin, Duan Ling Tian remained calm. He did not show any signs of fear because Dong Lin had Tian Dong as his helper. Duan Ling Tian, do you know why I'm here today? When Dong Lin saw how calm Duan Ling Tian was, he felt a wave of displeasure. However, he forced a smile on his face and asked, "What's the matter?" "You must have found a helper to teach me a lesson." Duan Ling Tian replied nonchalantly, "You know?" Dong Lin was stunned when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. Then, he asked, "Since you know, aren't you afraid? Or, don't you know who this person next to me is?" "I know who he is." As soon as Dong Lin finished speaking, Duan Ling Tian looked at the middle-aged man next to Dong Lin and said nonchalantly, "Duan Ling Tian, the first Silver Flame Elder of the Enforcement Hall." Duan Ling Tian's words stunned Dong Lin and the few Bronze Flame Elders who were watching from afar. Chapter 2046. Although Duan Ling Tian was not as stunned as Dong Lin and the few Bronze Flame Elders, there was a slight change in the way he looked at Duan Ling Tian. The name Duan Ling Tian was not unfamiliar to him. He had also heard about the things Duan Ling Tian had done after he came to Zoroastrianism. Just like most of the Silver Flame Elders of Zoroastrianism, he had the thought of taking Duan Ling Tian as his direct disciple. However, he later learned that Duan Ling Tian already had a rogue cultivator as his master, and he had declared that he would not take another person as his master until he received his master's permission. Therefore, he gave up on the idea. This news had been circulating among the higher-ups of Zoroastrianism for a long time, and he was well aware of it. "Duan Ling Tian, how dare you?" At this moment, Dong Lin, who had come to his senses, looked at Duan Ling Tian and suddenly shouted, "You know Elder Tian Dong's honorable status, yet you still dare to call him by his name. Do you know that you are being disrespectful to Elder Tian Dong?" Following Dong Lin's shout, Tian Dong looked at Duan Ling Tian with a cold gaze. The temperature of the air around them seemed to have dropped by a few degrees. Of course, the reason why Tian Dong had such a huge change in an instant was not because of the great disrespect that Dong Lin had mentioned. He only had one purpose for coming here today: teach Duan Ling Tian a lesson and vent Dong Lin's anger. When the Bronze Flame Elders saw this, they could not help but feel a chill down their spines. They had long heard of the conflict between Duan Ling Tian and Dong Lin. Today, when they saw Dong Lin and Duan Ling Tian together, they knew Dong Lin was here to take revenge on Duan Ling Tian. His confidence came from Elder Tian Dong, the first Silver Flame Elder of the Enforcement Hall. Apart from being the first Elder of the Enforcement Hall, Tian Dong was also ranked in the top 3 among the Silver Flame Elders of Zoroastrianism. He was also very famous on the Supreme Saint ranking. He was ranked at the 109th place. Most importantly, as elders of the Enforcement Hall, they had long heard about this. Elder Tian Dong was actually a mad dog under the command of Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall. He would bite whoever Dong Yuanjin ordered him to bite. It was appropriate to describe him as quiet as a virgin, but when he moved, he was like a mad dog. Duan Ling Tian. As soon as Dong Lin's words left his mouth, Tian Dong snorted coldly and took a step forward. A powerful aura surged out of his body and shrouded Duan Ling Tian as though he was going to crush him. Unfortunately, Duan Ling Tian's aura at the 4th form of the Saint Celestial stage did not affect Duan Ling Tian at all. Duan Ling Tian did not even need to mobilize the Sun Saint origin in his body. He only needed to release the sword force from the Sovereign Heart Sword to break Tian Dong's aura apart. Tian Dong's aura was no longer a threat to Duan Ling Tian. A hint of surprise could be seen in the depth of Tian Dong's eyes when he saw this. Duan Ling Tian does have some tricks up his sleeve. However, since he has offended Lord Vice Hall Master, he'll suffer a fate worse than death today. Dong Lin's eyes gleamed coldly as he thought to himself. The order he received was, find all excuses to teach Duan Ling Tian a lesson and make Duan Ling Tian suffer a fate worse than death. Ever since I, Tian Dong, became the Silver Flame Elder of Zoroastrianism, this is my first time hearing a Zoroastrianism disciple address me by my name. How dare you? Since you don't know your place, I'll have to teach you a lesson on behalf of your wandering cultivator master. As Tian Dong spoke, he stepped toward Duan Ling Tian. In the eyes of the bronze flame elders, every step he took was as heavy as 1,000,000 pounds. It was as if a giant hammer was pounding on their chests, causing their hearts to be in their throats. In their opinion, Duan Tian, I'm afraid you're out of luck today. It was obvious that Tian Dong was here to stand up for Dong Lin. Now that he had found an excuse, he would definitely take advantage of it until he achieved his goal. Rogue Cultivator Master? Upon hearing Tian Dong's words, Duan Tian couldn't help but be taken aback. Of course, he was only stunned for a moment. The next moment, he realized the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder, Guoxiong, must have spread the news that he had a rogue cultivator master. Otherwise, it was impossible for Tian Dong to know that his master was a rogue cultivator. In the entire Zoroastrianism, Duan Tian had only told Guoxiong that his master was a rogue cultivator. He had also told Guoxiong that he would not acknowledge anyone else as his master before he obtained his master's permission. He had told Guoxiong this because Guoxiong wanted to recommend him to the sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum, so that he could become the direct disciple of the sanctum leader of the Black Turtle Sanctum. Unfortunately, Duan Tian already had a master. He was the Sword Saint, Feng Qingyang. Although Duan Tian had not met his master yet, he was very grateful to him. It was all because of the Supreme Sword Dao mental cultivation method, the Sovereign Heart Sword, that he was able to reach where he was today in such a short time. It was precisely because of this that it was impossible for him to acknowledge another person as his master before obtaining the permission of that master. This is good as well. Since Elder Guoxiong has spread the news, I don't think anyone else would want to be my master, Duan Tian thought to himself. At this moment, Duan Tian did not feel disgusted by the Black Turtle Sanctum's enforcement elder Guoxiong for spreading the news. Instead, he felt grateful. Humph. When Duan Tian regained his senses, he looked at Tian Dong, who was walking toward him. His eyes turned cold immediately as he said coldly, "If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext. You, Tian Dong, know better than anyone else why you and Dong Lin have come here together. Since you're here to stand up for Dong Lin, why should I be courteous to you? Perhaps, in the eyes of others, you're the high and mighty first silver flame elder of the enforcement hall. However, in the eyes of me, Duan Tian, you're just a lackey." Duan Tian's words were loud and clear. Gasp, gasp, gasp. As soon as Duan Tian finished speaking, the few enforcement hall's bronze flame elders who were watching could not help but gasp in unison. In the next instant, they looked at Duan Tian as though they had seen a ghost. Although most people in the enforcement hall did not know that Tian Dong was Vice Hall Master Dong Yuanjin's lackey, no one dared to reveal this in front of Tian Dong. In this regard, Duan Tian was definitely the first person to do so. Duan Tian is crazy. Is he seeking death? Perhaps he thinks Elder Tian Dong won't show him any mercy today. That's why he's going all out. The few bronze flame elders thought to themselves. There was a hint of pity in their eyes when they looked at Duan Tian. When Dong Lin heard what Duan Tian said to Duan Tian, he was stunned. It was apparent he did not expect Duan Tian would be so crazy as to speak to Elder Tian Dong in such a manner. Moreover, he even called Elder Tian Dong a lackey. Duan Tian, you can't blame anyone else for seeking death. A hint of gloating could be seen in Dong Lin's eyes when he looked at Duan Tian. What did you call me? As the person involved, Tian Dong could not help but freeze when he heard Duan Tian's words. He only regained his senses after a while. When he looked at Duan Tian again, there was a terrifying gleam in his eyes. Upon hearing Tian Dong's question, the few enforcement hall's bronze flame elders shifted their attention to Duan Tian again. They were curious. Did Duan Tian have the guts to repeat what he said earlier? In the next moment, they received the answer that they wanted. I said, "In my eyes, Duan Tian, you, Tian Dong, are just a lackey. Do you hear me clearly now? Do I need to repeat myself?" Duan Tian said coldly. His tone was unbridled. The few enforcement hall's elders who were watching felt their scalps go numb when they heard Duan Tian's words. In their opinion, Duan Tian was mad. Duan Tian was crazy. "You're digging your own grave." The gloating expression in Dong Lin's eyes intensified. "You're digging your own grave." Tiandong, who had made up his mind, suddenly shouted. In the next moment, he moved and charged toward Duanling Tian like a violent storm. Tiandong, there's no room for regret now that you've made your move. As soon as Tiandong moved, Duanling Tian's voice resonated again. His tone was so cold that it sent chills down one's spine. Tiandong stopped a few meters away from Duanling Tian. Regret? Although Tiandong was furious, he still looked at Duanling Tian warily. He suppressed the anger in his heart and asked coldly, "What do you mean by that? Don't tell me this Duanling Tian has something to rely on?" At the same time, the few enforcement hall's bronze flame elders who were watching thought to themselves, "Elder Tiandong, don't believe him. He likes to be mysterious. Let's make our move. Teach him a good lesson." Dong Lin, who was standing nearby, said in a timely manner, "Ha ha ha ha." As soon as Dong Lin's words left his mouth, Duanling Tian's eyes gleamed coldly. Just when he was about to make his move again, Duanling Tian suddenly burst out laughing. His unbridled laughter spread out, and the sound waves spread out, shaking the surrounding air to the point that clear ripples appeared in the surrounding air. While everyone was still in a daze, Duanling Tian suddenly stopped laughing. The laughter was like a shower. It came and went as quickly as it came. Tiandong. In the next moment, Duanling Tian looked at Tiandong coldly. "You better think this through. If you make your move on me, you'll torture me until I'm dead or crippled. You'll make my life a living hell. However, if you really dare to make a move on me, I, Duanling Tian, swear that no matter how you treat me, I'll return everything to Dong Lin." Chapter 2047. Duanling Tian's eyes gleamed coldly when he looked at Dong Lin. Dong Lin shuddered involuntarily as though he had fallen into an ice cave. At the same time, horror dawned on Dong Lin's face. He did not expect Duanling Tian would dare to threaten the first Silver Flame Elder of the Enforcement Hall, Tiandong. Duanling Tian was threatening Dong Lin with him. Dong Lin took a deep breath and looked into Duanling Tian's eyes. He could see the unshakable determination in Duanling Tian's eyes. He did not dare to question Duanling Tian's words at all. At this moment, he could not help but feel a chill in his heart. At the same time, he felt a bit of regret. He regretted going to his father and asking him to find someone to stand up for him. Otherwise, he would not be in such a predicament. Swoosh! Tiandong's expression changed drastically when he heard Duanling Tian's threat. He did not expect Duanling Tian would dare to threaten him. He did not expect Duanling Tian would dare to threaten him and Dong Lin in such a manner in front of him. However, he could not ignore Duanling Tian's threat. As an experienced person, Tiandong could tell that Duanling Tian was not afraid of Duanling Tian's threat. Duanling Tian was absolutely not joking when he said those threatening words earlier. He was serious. "If you don't care about Dong Lin, I'll look for the people close to you. It doesn't matter if it's your children or your direct disciples. I'll treat them the same way you treat me today." Duanling Tian's voice turned colder when he shifted his gaze to Tiandong. "Unless you kill me today, I'll be the nightmare of the people close to you in the future. It doesn't matter if it's Dong Lin or the people close to you. You can't possibly stay by their side and protect them forever, right?" Duanling Tian continued to threaten Tiandong. Duanling Tian's body emitted a cold killing intent when he finished speaking. It was as though the temperature in the surroundings had dropped. A threat? It was a blatant threat. When Duanling Tian's words fell into Duanling Tian's ears, Tiandong's expression changed drastically. His eyes turned red, and his body emitted waves of chilling murderous intent. It was a murderous intent directed at Duanling Tian. He did not expect Duanling Tian to be so unpredictable. Tiandong not only had a son and a daughter, but he also had 2 personal disciples. To him, whether it was his children or his personal disciples, they were all very important. They were people that he needed to protect. Duanling Tian's actions had hit him right in his weak spot. "Duanling Tian, how dare you threaten Elder Tiandong? Isn't this too valiant?" As expected of someone who dares to offend the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder Lian as soon as he arrived at the Zoroastrianism. "I really admire this Duanling Tian." "Me too." The few Enforcement Hall's Bronze Flame Elders were stunned when they saw this scene. When they regained their senses, they could not help but sigh. In their opinion, Duan Lingtian was an exception. How could an ordinary Zoroastrianism disciple dare to threaten Tiandong, the first silver flame elder of the law enforcement hall? Naturally, they also felt Duan Lingtian was very smart. It seemed like he was going to throw away everything, but in truth, he was attacking Duan Lingtian's heart. Based on the changes in Tiandong's expression and the fact that he did not make a move, they could see that their first silver flame elder was intimidated by Duan Lingtian and did not dare to make a move on Duan Lingtian. If they were in Duan Lingtian's shoes, they would not dare to make a move on Duan Lingtian as well. Duan Lingtian had a pair of children and 2 personal disciples. Although they were quite strong, they could not be compared to Duan Lingtian at all. What do you think? Duan Lingtian looked at Tiandong and smirked. Are you going to make a move on me? Or are you going to stand aside and be a statue? Anyway, I have nothing to lose. If you dare to make a move on me, I'll make a move on Dong Lin, your children, and your personal disciples. The barefooted are not afraid of those wearing shoes. When the few enforcement hall's bronze flame elders heard Duan Lingtian's description of himself, they felt that it was very appropriate. That was right. Currently, was Duan Lingtian not afraid of those who were barefooted? Unless Elder Duan Lingtian dared to kill Duan Lingtian or cripple him, he could definitely take revenge on Elder Duan Lingtian once he recovered. After all, Tiandong was not alone. He had a pair of children and 2 personal disciples. Duan Lingtian, on the other hand, was all alone in Zoroastrianism. He had nothing to lose. They could see that this was where Duan Lingtian's confidence came from. Duan Lingtian, don't you think you've crossed the line? Upon hearing Duan Lingtian's words, Tiandong's expression darkened. He said coldly, as the saying goes, don't harm your family. Aren't you afraid that people will laugh at you for doing this? Laugh at me? Upon hearing Tiandong's words, Duan Lingtian was stunned for a moment. However, he laughed out loud as though he had just heard the funniest joke in the world. After a while, he stopped laughing. Tiandong, do you think you have the right to say such words in front of me? Duan Lingtian's eyes turned cold as he smirked. I, Duan Lingtian, have never seen you before today, and you want to attack me as soon as you appear. Aren't you afraid that people will laugh at you for bullying a true disciple as a silver flame elder of the enforcement hall? Why should I be afraid? That's all I have to say today. Duan Lingtian's tone changed as he said with certainty, today, unless you kill me or cripple me, even if you only touch a strand of my hair, I'll still look for your children and look for your direct disciple so that we can have a good martial Dao spar. A threat? It was another blatant threat. However, no matter how angry Tiandong was when he was threatened by Duan Lingtian, he was so embarrassed that his face turned red. The killing intent on his body soared to the maximum, but he did not dare to say a word in the end. Be a good statue. When Duan Lingtian saw that Dong Lin was still standing at the same spot, he took a step forward and walked toward him in the air. Bam! Bam! It was unknown if Duan Lingtian did it intentionally, but every time he took a step forward, the air would ripple and explode with a muffled sound. When Dong Lin heard the muffled sounds of air exploding, his expression changed drastically. Every step Duan Lingtian took felt as though he was stepping on his chest, making it difficult for him to breathe. In just a blink of an eye, Duan Lingtian was only a few meters away from Dong Lin. Elder Tiandong. When Dong Lin sensed the hostility from Duan Lingtian and saw the coldness in Duan Lingtian's eyes, his heart skipped a beat. He immediately cried for help from Duan Lingtian. Whoosh! Just as Dong Lin finished speaking, Tiandong had already appeared in front of Dong Lin like a ghost, shielding Dong Lin behind him. Dong Lin could not help but heave a sigh of relief when he saw Tiandong. It was as though he had found an indestructible shield. If this had happened in the past, he would have hysterically asked Tiandong to attack Duan Lingtian to vent his anger. However, when he recalled Duan Lingtian's threat earlier, he swallowed the words that were about to leave his mouth. Now, Tiandong could torture Duan Lingtian and make him wish he was dead. However, after that, Duan Lingtian would blame Tiandong for everything that Tiandong had done to him. When Tiandong thought of this, he was terrified and cowardly. Although he was gnashing his teeth in hatred, He did not urge Tian Dong to attack Duan Tian. Duan Tian, enough is enough. After Tian Dong stood in front of Dong Lin, he looked coldly at Duan Tian and spoke to him in a low voice. Tian Dong. When he saw that Tian Dong was blocking his way, Duan Tian's face darkened again. Didn't you hear what I said just now? I asked you to stand aside obediently and be a statue. A statue? Do you understand? Duan Tian, do you really think that I don't dare to attack you? Tian Dong's expression was extremely gloomy. He could not bear to watch Dong Lin being tortured by Duan Tian. Moreover, if Dong Lin was tortured by Duan Tian right under his nose, he would not be able to answer to Dong Lin's father, Deputy Hall Leader Dong. Therefore, he finally stood up at this time. Initially, he had come to help Dong Lin bully Duan Tian. However, who would have thought that Duan Tian would be so shameless? He had actually used Dong Lin, his children, and his direct disciples to threaten him so that he would not dare to attack him. I knew that you wouldn't dare to attack me. Upon hearing Tian Dong's words, Duan Tian smirked disdainfully before he continued to say, Tian Dong, if you don't want me to look for your two daughters and your direct disciples to spar, it's best for you to step aside. After all, there's no enmity between us. I don't want to have an enemy like you for no reason. The moment Duan Tian's words left his mouth, the few enforcement hall's bronze flame elders who were watching were speechless. Was this Duan Tian not too shameless? He had used Elder Tian Dong's children and direct disciples to threaten Elder Tian Dong. He had already formed an irreconcilable enmity with Elder Tian Dong. Now, he actually said that there was no enmity between him and Elder Tian Dong, and he did not want to have an enemy like Elder Tian Dong for no reason? Duan Tian, don't cross the line. Faced with Duan Tian's threat again, Tian Dong was enraged no matter how good he was at suppressing it. His eyes were filled with killing intent, as though he was about to devour someone. Elder Tian Dong, please don't step aside. Otherwise, I'll definitely complain to my father that you're helping Duan Tian to attack me. Upon hearing Duan Tian's threat and sensing Tian Dong's exasperation, Dong Lin continued to threaten Tian Dong. At this moment, Dong Lin was truly afraid. He was afraid that Tian Dong would abandon him just to protect his children and direct disciples and allow Duan Tian to attack him. Chapter 2048. With the threat from Duan Tian and the threat from Dong Lin, Tian Dong felt like he was going crazy. What sin had he committed in his previous life? How could he have met these two malefactors in his current life? However, Tian Dong made up his mind in the end. He looked at Duan Tian immediately. Duan Tian, you don't want an enemy like me, and I don't want an enemy like you as well. Leave, Tian Dong said in a deep voice. Based on his words, it was obvious he had no intention of making a move on Duan Tian. Upon hearing Tian Dong's words, Dong Lin frowned slightly. However, he quickly relaxed. Perhaps this was the best ending for him. Naturally, he still felt aggrieved in his heart. Tian Dong, is there something wrong with your ears? Duan Tian's expression darkened as he said coldly, I asked you to leave. Don't tell me you're willing to disregard your children and direct disciples for Dong Lin? Duan Tian threatened Tian Dong again. I wonder what your children and direct disciples will think if they know you've made such a decision. Elder Tian Dong, you should be able to imagine. If my father knows you've joined forces with Duan Tian to deal with me, he'll definitely not let you go. Even if it's your children and direct disciples, he won't let you go. While Duan Tian was threatening Tian Dong, Dong Lin did not forget to threaten Tian Dong as well. He was afraid Tian Dong would be intimidated by Duan Tian and leave him to deal with Duan Tian alone. Compared to Duan Tian, Tian Dong was more afraid of Dong Lin's father, Dong Yuanjin, the vice hall master of the enforcement hall. Therefore, he quickly made up his mind. He looked at Duan Tian coldly. Duan Tian, I won't touch you today. However, I'll protect Dong Lin as well. Under such circumstances, if you still dare to touch my children and my personal disciple, I, Tian Dong, will cripple you even if I have to risk violating the sex rules and be punished. Tian Dong's voice was extremely cold and resolute, leaving no room for negotiation. Really, Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. If I remember correctly, there seems to be a rule in Zoroastrianism that states that if the higher-ups of the law enforcement hall violate the rules, they will receive double the punishment. Even if you didn't kill me and only crippled me, I'm afraid you would still die, right? Just because of the momentary pain of your children and personal disciples, you are willing to give up your life? Do you think I'll believe you? As he spoke, the smile on Duan Lingtian's face deepened. He looked at Tiandong with a gaze full of sarcasm. Tiandong, you better not do anything that you will regret. Duan Lingtian spoke again when Tiandong's expression changed drastically. At the same time, he flew out and headed straight for Tiandong. To be more precise, he was heading straight for Donglin. Tiandong was merely an obstacle in his path. When Tiandong saw Duan Lingtian flying toward him, he recalled what Duan Lingtian had said earlier. His expression changed drastically. Nobody knew what was on his mind. Whoosh! However, when Duan Lingtian was about to approach him, he still moved to the side. In the end, he chose to compromise. In his opinion, although Duan Lingtian was not as terrifying as Vice Hall Master Dong, Vice Hall Master Dong would consider his status and might not touch his children and personal disciples. At most, Vice Hall Master Dong would give him a hard time. After all, Dong Lin was only taught a lesson. He was not crippled or killed. This did not cross Vice Hall Master Dong's bottom line. Duan Lingtian was different from Vice Hall Master Dong. Although he was not as terrifying as Vice Hall Master Dong, he had nothing to lose. He had nothing to lose. Even if it was him, he could only avoid facing such a madman. Otherwise, his children, as well as his personal disciples, would definitely be in deep trouble. Hence, at the most critical moment, Tiandong finally changed his choice. Elder Tiandong. When Dong Lin saw that Tiandong had dodged at the most critical moment and exposed himself to Duan Lingtian, his face turned green. He did not expect Tiandong to make such a choice at the most critical moment. Slap. However, the moment Dong Lin's expression changed, a clear and loud slap resounded in the air. Duan Lingtian had appeared in front of Dong Lin and raised his hand to slap him, leaving a clear palm print on his face. The slap had caused half of Dong Lin's face to swell up. You! How dare you hit me? Dong Lin was stunned for a moment before he looked at Duan Lingtian in disbelief. It was as though he had seen a ghost. That's right. I'm hitting you. Duan Lingtian smirked coldly as he raised his hand and slapped Dong Lin's face with both hands. Every time Dong Lin made a sound, he would increase his strength. In the end, Dong Lin no longer dared to make a sound. His eyes were red as he endured the slap silently. Slap, 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 slap. Clear and loud slaps resounded in the air. The few bronze flame elders from the enforcement hall who were watching felt their scalps go numb. However, none of them dared to step forward to stop it. What a joke. Even the first silver flame elder from the enforcement hall, Tiandong, did not even dare to make a sound. Put aside the fact that they were not as strong as Duan Lingtian. Even if they were stronger than Duan Lingtian, they would not dare to step forward. Some of them had children or direct disciples in Zoroastrianism. Who knew if Duan Lingtian would find trouble with their children or direct disciples after they interfered with Duan Lingtian's matter? Duan Lingtian was not a person who would play by the rules. It was best not to provoke such a person. Crazy. Crazy. Tiandong, who was standing at the side, felt his scalp go numb when he saw Duan Lingtian turning Dong Lin's face into a pig's head in just a blink of an eye. He thought Duan Lingtian was crazy. Who was Dong Lin? He was the only son of Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall. Vice Hall Master Dong treated his son as his life. If he knew his son was being humiliated, how could he not be angry? Stop. At this moment, even if Tiandong was afraid Duan Lingtian would make a move on his children and direct disciples, he did not dare to stand at the side and watch the show. He quickly stepped forward to stop Duan Lingtian. At this moment, he was already regretting his actions. Initially, he thought Duan Lingtian would just casually teach Dong Lin a lesson after he stepped aside. He did not expect Duan Lingtian would give Dong Lin a series of slaps as soon as he made his move, turning him into a pig's head. It was one thing to be beaten into a pig's head, The most important thing was the way he was beaten into a pig's head. It was one slap after another. If news of this spread out, how would Dong Lin be able to hold his head high in the enforcement hall in the future? No ordinary person would be able to accept such humiliation. Dong Lin, I've almost forgotten about what happened last time, and I don't intend to make a fuss about it. Today, you took the initiative to ask for a beating, so don't blame me. Faced with Tian Dong's stop, Duan Ling Tian, who was almost done venting his anger, looked at Dong Lin coldly before he turned around and left in a suave manner. Elder Tian Dong, thank you for your cooperation. Tian Dong, who was originally relieved when he saw Duan Ling Tian leaving, was so infuriated that he almost vomited blood when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. This Duan Ling Tian did not forget to set him up even when he was leaving. Duan Ling Tian, if you don't die, I, Dong Lin, swear that I'm not human. I swear that I'm not human. Dong Lin's eyes were bloodshot, and his body was trembling with anger. Although his expression could not be seen clearly from his swollen face, it was obvious that he was furious. He was extremely furious. Dong Lin only retracted his gaze when Duan Ling Tian's silhouette disappeared from his sight. At the same time, he looked at Tian Dong with a cold gaze and spoke incoherently with his swollen mouth. Tian Dong, this matter. I'll tell everything. Father, you, just you wait. After he finished speaking incoherently, Dong Lin flew away, leaving Tian Dong with a cold and indifferent expression. It's over. Tian Dong's face darkened when he heard Dong Lin's words. He realized that he had made a mistake in his judgment. He did not expect Duan Ling Tian to humiliate Dong Lin in such a manner. If he had known earlier, he would not have stepped aside. If news of what happened today were to spread, it would definitely make Dong Lin suffer more than killing him. It was conceivable that once this matter was blown up, based on how much Vice Hall Master Dong doted on Dong Lin, he would not let Duan Ling Tian go. He would not let him go as well. The few of you better remember this. If any of you dare to spread what happened earlier, let alone me, even Lord Vice Hall Master will not let any of you go. After taking a deep breath, Tian Dong looked at the few law enforcement hall's bronze flame elders and reminded them coldly. Elder Tian Dong, don't worry. I will definitely not spread what happened earlier. Elder Tian Dong, don't worry. I didn't see anything earlier. What happened earlier? I was just passing by. Really, I was just passing by. Upon hearing Tian Dong's words, the few enforcement hall bronze flame elders hurriedly expressed their opinions. It was as though they were afraid that they would be beaten up if they expressed their opinions any later. At the same time, chills ran down their spines. That Duan Ling Tian really doesn't want to live anymore. I've seen people who aren't afraid of death, but I've never seen such a fearless person. That's Dong Lin, not Wen Yin. He's dead meat. He's dead meat. Based on how much Vice Hall Master Dong dotes on Dong Lin, it's impossible for him to let this matter rest. These were the thoughts of the few enforcement hall bronze flame elders. All of them felt that Duan Ling Tian was seeking death for humiliating Dong Lin. On the other hand, after Duan Ling Tian left, he was elated. He did not feel guilty about what happened today, just like what he had said earlier. If Dong Lin did not come looking for him, he would have long forgotten about the conflict between him and Dong Lin. However, since Dong Lin had come looking for him, he, Duan Ling Tian, was not someone to be trifled with. This is strange. Why do I feel a little anxious? Chapter 2049. Palace Master Zhu. Logically speaking, there should be no problem. But why do I feel flustered? I feel like something's going to happen. This was not the first time Duan Ling Tian had such a feeling of panic. In the past, he had felt this way as well. Moreover, something would happen every time. Duan Ling Tian did not expect Zhu Luqi, who was supposed to head to the WCI subterranean Azure Cloud Mansion to inform them, would be sent to the land of exile by the Inter-Province Transportation Formation. Due to the fact that Zhu Luqi did not inform the Azure Cloud Mansion in time, the Azure Cloud Mansion did not receive any warning. Currently, Lian was bringing people to the Azure Cloud Mansion. They were getting closer and closer to the Azure Cloud Mansion. However, The people from the Azure Cloud Mansion were unaware of this. Almost at the same time, in the northern region of the Dow Marshall Saint Land, a figure covered in a black robe stood in front of an inter-province transportation formation. There were 3 children who appeared to be 6 or 7 years old lying next to his feet. There were 2 little girls and a little boy. One of the 2 little girls was dressed in a golden robe, while the other was dressed in a white robe. Both of them had baby fat on their cheeks, making them look very cute. As for the little boy, he was dressed in a black robe. Compared to the black robe that covered the entire body of the person standing there, the black robe that the little boy wore did not cover his face. His small head was exposed, and his small face looked cool and cute. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely be able to recognize them with just a glance. At this moment, the 2 little girls and 1 little boy that were lying on the ground and had obviously fainted were none other than the people that the little gold mouse and the 2 little pythons had transformed into in the form of the former little gold mouse. Little gold, little white, and little black. I don't know what the prophet is thinking. He actually asked me to steal these 3 little fellows and throw them back to the lower province of the Dow Marshall Saint Land when that girl, Han Shuanai, is not paying attention? The black-robed man who was dressed in a black robe said. Suddenly, the person shrouded in black robes spoke. When he opened his mouth, it was a very feminine voice. It was neither male nor female, and it was hard to tell whether it was a male or a female. If that girl finds out about this, I'll definitely be in trouble. When the feminine voice reached the end of his sentence, he sounded a little dissatisfied. This black-robed man was none other than the current successor of the Dark Shadow progeny, the 4th absolute of the 7 absolute sect, Yu Wuying. The 3 little fellows who originally followed Han Shuanai to the upper province of the Dow Marshall Saint Land were secretly stolen by him after he knocked them out. The reason he did this was because the Oracle Man, the 2nd absolute of the 7 absolute sect, the Prophet progeny, had instructed him to do so. He wanted him to find an opportunity where Han Shuanai would not be able to find out and steal the 3 little fellows before throwing them back to the lower province of the Dow Marshall Saint Land. According to the Elder of Heavenly Secrets, he could vaguely see through the mysteries of heaven. He could see that there would be a good fortune for the 3 little fellows in the WCI subterranean. As for what kind of good fortune it was, he could not tell. Since he was worried that Han Shuanai would stop him, he also asked Yu Wuying to secretly steal the 3 little fellows and throw them back to the WCI subterranean. Moreover, he could not send them back to the Greenwave Han Mansion or the Azure Cloud Mansion. Yesterday, Yu Wuying finally found an opportunity and successfully stole the 3 little fellows. The 3 of you, don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame that old man. He's the one who asked me to steal the 3 of you and throw you back to the WCI subterranean to fend for yourselves. Yu Wuying shook his head and lifted the 3 little fellows up with a raise of his hand. In the next instant, he flew into the inter-province transportation formation. The moment the inter-province transportation formation flashed, Yu Wuying and the 3 little fellows disappeared. About half an hour later, in the eastern province of the upper province of the Dow Marshall Saint Land, Yu Wuying, who had just returned from the WCI subterranean, appeared. After confirming the direction, he returned to the northern province. When Yu Wuying left the upper province, he brought the 3 little fellows with him. However, when he returned, he was all alone again. The land of exile was also known as the Exiled Realm by the Devil clans. The Ox Devil clan was a big clan in the Exiled Realm. There were many powerhouses in the clan. For many years, they had been trying their best to invade the St. Province realm, but they could not find an opportunity to do so. The St. Province realm was the realm that encompassed the WCI subterranean, the upper province, and the 3 mortals. The Ox Devil clan's estate was vast. There was a spacious square in the center of the estate. Today, however, the square was filled with people. No, it should be said that it was full of demons. Bull demons? The members of the Ox Devil clan had distinctive features. They had a human body and the head of an ox. Apart from their bodies, they were no different from ordinary humans in the St. Province realm. At this moment, a group of ox devils surrounded the square and stared at a human who was tied up. That was right, a human who was rarely seen in the exiled realm. Is this a human? I think so. This human looks similar to us. He has 2 hands and 2 legs. Similar? How is he similar? We ox devils aren't so short. Moreover, he's so fair. He's so ugly. Look at our dark and healthy skin. This is the skin a warrior should have. That's right. Look at how fair he is. He's a pushover. It's no wonder he was captured by the warriors of the Ox Devil clan. Humans are too weak. It was the first time the members of the Ox Devil clan had seen a human. They pointed at the human who was tied up in the center of the square and discussed among themselves. If it was in the past, Zhu Luqi would never have dreamed that he would one day become an exhibit. Zhu Luqi felt his scalp tingle again when he saw the group of tall monsters with human bodies and cow heads in front of him, because he already knew the identity of these monsters. They were one of the devil clans in the land of exile, the Ox Devil clan. He had read about the Ox Devil clan in the White Tiger Sanctum, one of the fire worship sect's 4 symbol sanctums, the White Tiger Sanctum. The Ox Devil clan was born to be warriors. They were tall and strong, and they were good at close combat. During the Human Devil era, the Ox Devil clan was one of the vanguards in the Great War between the humans and devils. They had killed countless humans in that realm. It could be said that they were the mortal enemies of the human race. Zhu Luqi did not expect he would meet the Ox Devil clan and the Devil clans in such a manner one day. Moreover, he had become a captive of the Ox Devil clan. All of a sudden, Zhu Lu discovered that the group of ox devils who were surrounding him from the east had opened up a path for him when they heard a low growl from outside. Then, Zhu Luqi saw the 2 ox devils who had captured him. However, the 2 ox devils were escorting another ox devil the size of a small hill as they walked toward him. Boom, boom, boom. The ox devil was 7 or 8 meters tall. It was 2 or 3 times taller than the average ox devil. Every step it took caused the ground to shake. It walked slowly toward Zhu Luqi. The closer it was to Zhu Luqi, the more Zhu Luqi felt the tremors. When the ox devil appeared, the group of ox devils in the square fell silent. They looked at the ox devil that was much taller than them respectfully. As expected, it's a human. The ox devil that was the size of a small hill walked up to Zhu Luqi and looked down at him. Its voice was like a clap of thunder, causing Zhu Luqi's eardrums to hurt. How powerful! At this moment, Zhu Luqi could feel the pressure from the ox devil that was standing before him. It was so oppressive that he could barely breathe. Moreover, the ox devil did not deliberately exert pressure on him. Based on this, one could tell how powerful and terrifying the ox devil was. 10th Elder, he's the human we found outside. At the same time, the other 2 ox devils behind the ox devil spoke in a timely manner. Their voices were filled with humility. 10th Elder? Zhu Luqi's eyes widened in shock. As far as he knew, the strongest person in the Ox Devil clan was the Patriarch. Below the Patriarch were the 10 Great Elders. In the past, many human powerhouses had died in the hands of the 11 powerhouses from the Ox Devil clan in the Dao Martial Saint Land. Naturally, he knew the 11 powerhouses from the Ox Devil clan were not the current Patriarch and 10 Great Elders of the Ox Devil clan. As time passed, the Devil clans would die one day as well. Powerful devils who had obtained immortality would ascend to the Devata realms after they had reached a certain level of strength. In this regard, the exiled realm was similar to the Saint Province realm. That's right. All of you have done a great deed. I'll look for Lord Patriarch and ask for a reward for all of you. The Ox Devil who was addressed as the 10th Elder spoke again. His voice was as loud as thunder. Zhu Luqi, who was prepared for this, immediately mobilized his saint energy to protect his ears. His eardrums no longer hurt as much as before. While the 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan was sizing Zhu Luqi up with interest, Zhu Luqi's expression changed drastically. Meanwhile, in the Saint Province realm, the quasi-third-rate force in the Debussy Subterranean, the Azure Cloud Mansion, another group of uninvited guests had arrived. This group of uninvited guests had entered the Azure Cloud Mansion and killed all the black armored guards who tried to stop them. Whether it was the ordinary black armored guards, the Decurions, or the Centurions, none of them were a match for this group of uninvited guests. It was not just one person, but a group of people led by an old man. Moreover, the uninvited guests were not the old man, but the people behind him. Since the people behind him were so terrifying, one could only imagine how terrifying the old man was. All of you, who are you? The group of black armored guards shuddered in fear when they saw the group of uninvited guests. They kept retreating until they were close to the main mansion of the Azure Cloud Mansion. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the menacing group of people came to a halt one after another as the old man came to a halt. Chapter 2050. My name is Leon. The old man's words also revealed his identity. He was none other than the Silver Flame Elder of Zoroastrianism, one of the three great sects in the upper province of the Tao Martial Saint Land. He was also the first Silver Flame Elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the four symbol sanctums of Zoroastrianism. The reason he came to the Azure Cloud Mansion was to deal with the true disciple of Zoroastrianism, Duan Lingtian. He wanted to use Duan Lingtian's family to force Duan Lingtian to leave Zoroastrianism. Originally, Leon should have come to the WCI Subterranean in the Azure Cloud Mansion a long time ago. However, when he left the Northern Plethora sect with the people Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, had sent to him, he received a shocking piece of news. Due to this reason, he was delayed. The shocking news was related to the Azura Saber, one of the 10 Great Saint Weapons on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking. The Azura Saber had appeared. In the past, some of the 10 Great Saint Weapons on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking were in the hands of the high-ranking officials of the three great sections. The Azura Saber was one of them. Although Leon could not wait to go to the WCI Subterranean to investigate Duan Lingtian's background, he was not in a hurry to investigate Duan Lingtian's background compared to the Azura Saber on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking. For this reason, he asked the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses Yang Chong had sent to him to look for the lucky person who obtained the Azura Saber. Leon did not stay idle as well. One had to admit that Leon was quite lucky. In the end, he managed to find the lucky person who obtained the Azura Saber. After killing the lucky person, he obtained the Azura Saber as well. Of course, he was the only one who knew that he had obtained the Azura Saber. The group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Northern Plethora sect who followed him were unaware of this. Perhaps, these Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Northern Plethora sect did not possess the strength to snatch the Azura Saber from Leon, but they could spread the news. Once the news spread, Leon would not be able to keep the Azura Saber. After all, Leon was not like Xiezong who had seized the Devil Seal tablet from Duan Lingtian. Although Xiezong was only an ordinary elder of Zhuangzi Buddhism, his father was one of the four great kings of Zhuangzi Buddhism. The four great kings' position in the Zhuangzi Buddhism was equivalent to the three great guardians of Zoroastrianism. They were all top powerhouses in the upper province of the Tao Martial Saint Land. Xiezong had Zhuangzi Buddhism's Dharmaraja as his backer. Even if he possessed the Devil Seal tombstone, not many people would dare to fight for it openly. Moreover, it was not certain if the Devil Seal tablet was still in Xiezong's hands. Perhaps, after Xiezong returned to the Zhuangzi Buddhism, he might have passed the Devil Seal tablet to his father, the Golden Lion King, one of the four great kings of Zhuangzi Buddhism. The Azura Saber was a famous Grade Saint weapon on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking. It was an offensive 10,000 inscriptions saint weapon. It was so powerful that it could easily crush 1,000 inscriptions saint weapon. Who would not want such a saint weapon? As a Silver Flame Elder of Zoroastrianism who did not have a backer, what right did Leon have to keep this Grade Saint weapon? Perhaps, someone might say that his backer was Zoroastrianism? If news of him obtaining the Azura Saber spread, even the high-ranking officials of Zoroastrianism, who were Golden Flame Elders and above, would be tempted. Even if Zoroastrianism did not exist, he would not be able to keep the Azura Saber. For this reason, Leon made up his mind the moment he obtained the Azura Saber. Before he possessed the strength to keep the Azura Saber, he would not use the Azura Saber unless he was faced with a life-or-death situation. After all, the temptation of the Azura Saber was just too great. Although obtaining the Azura Saber was a pleasant surprise to Leon, he did not forget about his other purpose. He wanted to go to the WCI Subterranean to investigate Duan Lingtian's background. After obtaining the Azura Saber, one of the 10 great Grade Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking, he gathered the people that Yang Chong, the fifth elder of the Northern Plethora sect, had given him and traveled to the WCI Subterranean through the inter-province transportation formation. After that, everything went very smoothly. As soon as he arrived at the lower province, he learned about Duan Lingtian's background from the Watcher in the lower province. After he learned about Duan Lingtian's background, he immediately brought his people to the Azure Cloud Mansion. Due to this reason, the current situation had unfolded. Lian. Hearing Lian's words, the group of black armored guards were at a loss because they had never heard of this name before. Due to this reason, their hearts were filled with fear. Based on the strength of the people following behind this old man who called himself Lian, they were at least top-notch powerhouses in the WCI subterranean. Since these powerhouses were willing to follow him, he must be even stronger and more terrifying. However, they had never heard of Lian's name before. This was enough to prove that he was either a powerhouse or a powerhouse. He was either a reclusive powerhouse from the WCI subterranean or a powerhouse from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Sir, may I know the purpose of your visit to the Azure Cloud Mansion? Finally, one of the black armored guards mustered up his courage and asked Lian with difficulty. Nothing much. Faced with the black armored guard's question, Lian said indifferently, I'm here to bring the family of the young mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Young mansion master? The upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land? Upon hearing Lian's words, the group of black armored guards could not help but gasp. Although Lian's words were polite, they were certain he was not here just to bring someone to the upper province as a guest. If he was here just to bring someone to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, would there be a need for him to kill his way here? He's really a powerhouse from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He even mentioned the young mansion master. It seems like he has enmity with the young mansion master. My goodness, how did the young mansion master offend such a powerhouse? Moreover, the other party wants to bring Lord Mansion Master and the others to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Is he planning to use Lord Mansion Master and the others to threaten the young Mansion Master? Isn't it obvious? I can't believe the young Mansion Master has only gone to the upper province for a short while, but he's already so fearful that he wants to capture his family to threaten him. As expected of the young Mansion Master, he's indeed a peerless genius in the WCI subterranean. Based on the current situation, the young mansion master has also made a name for himself in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Otherwise, his opponent wouldn't want to use his family to threaten him. When the group of black armored guards mentioned Duan Lingtian, not only did they not blame Duan Lingtian for bringing disaster to the Azure Cloud Mansion, but they even had a proud expression on their faces. The black armored guards were the elites of the Azure Cloud Mansion. They were strictly selected. Every black armored guard was prepared to sacrifice themselves for the Azure Cloud Mansion. Good job, young mansion master. Among the black armored guards, a centurion suddenly shouted. His tone was filled with excitement. If Duan Lingtian was here, he would definitely be able to recognize this centurion as Tong Zhong. He was also known as the strongest person below the exemplary saint stage in the WCI subterranean. Apart from that, he was also the direct disciple of Ku Mi, one of the right-hand men of the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion. Previously, when Ku Mi was killed by Elder Xiezong of the Zhuangzi Buddhism, Tong Zhong was filled with grief. However, he worked hard and quickly broke through to the exemplary saint stage and became the strongest person below the commander of the Black Armored Army. He was also appointed as the successor to the position of the commander of the Black Armored Army. Currently, the group of black armored guards present on the scene treated him as their leader. When they heard his words, all of them cried out excitedly, "Young Mansion Master! Young Mansion Master! Young Mansion Master!" As the group of black armored guards cried out excitedly, the way they looked at Lian and the others changed completely. In the beginning, their fear and helplessness had turned into disdain and disdain. Do all of you really think your young mansion master is so strong that I'm afraid of him? That's why I'm here to capture his family. Lian had, naturally, heard the conversation between the group of black armored guards earlier. When he saw the group of black armored guards looking at him with disdain and disdain, he was instantly enraged. The raging fire in his heart seemed as though it could incinerate everything. Is that not the case? Upon hearing Lian's words, Tong Zhong sneered. Is that not the case? The group of black armored guards chimed in and sneered. Their eyes were filled with disdain as they looked at Leon. Humph. If it wasn't for your young mansion master hiding like a tortoise, I would have torn him into 1,000 pieces. The reason I came to the lower province and the Azure Cloud Mansion to capture his family is to lure him out and kill him. In my eyes, he's nothing but an ant. Leon snorted disdainfully. Ha 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 ha. As soon as Leon finished speaking, Tong Zhong suddenly burst out laughing. Old man, since the young mansion master isn't here, you can say whatever you want. Old man, you're not young anymore, but you're not even comparable to the young mansion master of our Azure Cloud Mansion. If I were you, I would have dug a hole in the ground and hid in it. How dare you come to the lower province to capture our young mansion master's family? You're really ridiculous. How pathetic. Tong Zhong did not hold back when he spoke. There was no need for him to hold back. At this moment, he was already prepared to die. You're seeking death. Tong Zhong's words finally enraged Leon. As he shouted, the Saint Chi in his body surged as he was about to attack Tong Zhong. At this moment, swoosh, swoosh, whoosh, 3 swift figures were flying toward them at an exaggerated speed. Quintessential Saint stage? Although the speed of the 3 figures was considered fast in Lian's eyes, it still managed to divert his attention. This was because he discovered the speed of the 3 figures was actually at the quintessential Saint stage. As far as he knew, quintessential Saint stage powerhouses were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns in the Debussy subterranean. Chapter 2051. However, when the 3 figures got closer, Leon discovered that the 3 figures were carrying 2 people. The owners of 2 of the figures were brought along by the owner of the last figure. The owner of the last figure was the only person whose cultivation base had entered the quintessential Saint stage. Moreover, this person's cultivation base was not only at the early quintessential Saint stage, but it was at the intermediate quintessential Saint stage. Leon instantly shifted his gaze to this person. He discovered that this person's appearance was 60 to 70% similar to Duan Lingtian's before he disguised himself. The reason he knew about Duan Lingtian's appearance before he disguised himself was because he had obtained a portrait from the Watcher when he was questioning him. The person in the portrait was none other than Duan Lingtian before he disguised himself. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng. Leon instantly figured out the person's identity. The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion was Duan Lingtian's father, Duan Rufeng. After a short moment, Duan Rufeng had already appeared in front of the group of black armored guards with an aged old man and a robust middle-aged man in black armor, and they protected the group of black armored guards behind them. Lord Mansion Master. Lord Mansion Master. Upon seeing Duan Rufeng, the group of black armored guards, led by Centurion Tong Zhong, bowed at Duan Rufeng respectfully. On the other hand, those black armored guards that hadn't seen Duan Rufeng before now had excited expressions on their faces. They would die without any regrets now that they were able to see the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion in their lifetime. In each of the black armored guards' hearts, Duan Rufeng, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, was a supreme existence. He was their faith. In the depths of their hearts, it was even more important than their own lives. When they saw Duan Rufeng, it was as though they had found their backbone. All of them straightened their backs and emitted a majestic aura that soared into the sky. This scene caused Lian and the group of people behind Lian to involuntarily inhale a breath of cold air. Although these black armored guards were weak, their combined aura was not inferior to the aura of a quintessential Saint stage powerhouse. Elder Rong, Lord Commander. Lord Commander. After greeting the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion, Duan Rufeng, respectfully, the group of black armored guards looked at the old man and the sturdy middle-aged man standing next to Duan Rufeng and greeted them respectfully. The old man next to Duan Rufeng was none other than Rong Yuan. As for the sturdy middle-aged man in black armor, he was the current commander of the Azure Cloud Mansion's black armored guards. He was also a powerhouse at the exemplary Saint stage. Naturally, an exemplary Saint stage powerhouse was considered a powerhouse in the Debussy subterranean. However, he was nothing compared to Lian and the group of people. Put aside Lian, even the weakest person in the group of people behind him was at least at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage. Such a powerhouse only needed a finger to kill a powerhouse at the peak of the exemplary Saint stage, let alone an ordinary exemplary Saint stage martial cultivator. Who are all of you? Why did you kill the people from the Azure Cloud Mansion? Duan Rufeng asked in a deep voice as his robe fluttered in the wind. A furious expression appeared on his determined and handsome face as he glared coldly at Lian, who was the leader of the group of people before him. Since he had just arrived, he did not know where Lian and the others came from. However, at this moment, Duan Rufeng was truly enraged. Ever since he had become the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, nobody in the WCI subterranean dared to act recklessly in the Azure Cloud Mansion. However, today, someone had actually barged into the Azure Cloud Mansion and killed hundreds of black armored guards. This was no different from slapping him, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, in the face. You're Duan Rufeng? The mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion? Lian did not answer Duan Lingtian's question. Instead, he asked nonchalantly. His tone was condescending, as though he was a superior speaking to a subordinate. How dare you? Almost as soon as Lian's words left his mouth, the commander of the black armored army next to Duan Rufeng, the sturdy middle-aged man, suddenly took 2 steps forward and glared at Lian as he said coldly, "How dare an old man like you call the name of our Azure Cloud Mansion's mansion master so directly?" Duan Rufeng was not only the faith of the black armored guards, but he was also the faith of the black armored army's commander. If it was not for Duan Rufeng, he would have died long ago. For the sake of Duan Rufeng, he was not afraid at all, even if he had to lay down his life and shed his blood. How could he tolerate this when he saw someone treating the Lord Mansion Master he respected the most in such a manner? Lord Commander. Almost as soon as the commander of the black armored army took 2 steps forward and shouted coldly at Lian, Tong Zhong, who was standing behind, seemed to have recalled something. Horror dawned on him as he cried out in panic. In just a blink of an eye, almost as soon as Tong Zhong opened his mouth, all that could be heard was a short-lived saber cry. In the next moment, under everyone's watchful eyes, the commander of the black armored army's head was separated from his body. Blood gushed out from his severed neck like a fountain. It was dazzling and eye-catching as it splattered across the sky like red roses. Humph! How can an ant at the exemplary saint stage like you act so presumptuously in front of elder Lian? At the same time, an old man standing behind Lian snorted coldly and said in a disdainful tone, "Just a moment ago, he was the one who had made a move and beheaded the commander of the Azure Cloud Mansion's black armored army. Old Wang." Duan Rufeng was the first to regain his senses. Horror dawned on his face immediately. When he saw the commander of the black armored army's body that had been severed into 2, his eyes turned red. Waves of majestic devil chi began to rise from his body. Crack! A crisp sound resonated in the air as the headband on Duan Rufeng's head shattered. His long black hair fluttered even though there was no wind. It was as though a python was slithering. It looked extremely strange. At this moment, Duan Rufeng was completely shrouded by the majestic devil chi. The aura on his body continued to rise as well. Intermediate quintessential saint stage. Mastery quintessential saint stage. Peak of the quintessential saint stage? Lian could not help but frown when he sensed the change in Duan Rufeng's aura. This was because he had discovered that Duan Rufeng's cultivation base was only at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. However, at this moment, Duan Rufeng's cultivation base had risen from the mastery quintessential saint stage to the peak of the quintessential saint stage before it finally came to a stop. Although it did not rise to the Saint Celestial stage, it still shocked Lian. Duan Rufeng's son, Duan Lingtian, knows how to conceal his cultivation base. Lian suddenly thought of this. And was no longer surprised. He thought Duan Rufeng had concealed his cultivation base from the beginning and had only revealed his true cultivation base now. He did not expect this at all. Duan Rufeng's cultivation base had just risen. Just a moment ago, Duan Rufeng's cultivation base was indeed at the intermediate quintessential saint stage. Commander Wang. After Duan Rufeng, Rong Yuan regained his senses as well. When he saw the black armored army's commander's body that was severed into 2, his eyes turned red immediately. Lord Commander. Lord Commander. At the same time, the group of black armored army guards, including Tong Zhong, cried out in grief. Their eyes shifted away from the black armored army's commander's body that was severed into two and landed on Lian and the others. Flames of hatred burned in their eyes. If the flames of anger in their eyes could kill, Lian and the others would have died many times over. Are all of you from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland? At the same time, Duan Rufeng, whose body was shrouded in devil chi, looked at Lian coldly. His voice was so cold that it sounded as though it came from hell. It sent chills down the spines of those who heard it. Rong Yuan, who was standing next to Duan Rufeng, could not help but shudder. At this moment, he could clearly feel the rage of the Lord Mansion Master next to him. That's right. Faced with Duan Rufeng's cold gaze, Lian was not afraid at all. He smiled coldly. Duan Rufeng, I don't mind telling you. My name is Lian, and I'm a Silver Flame Elder from the Zoroastrianism, one of the three great sects in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Zoroastrianism, Silver Flame Elder. Upon hearing Lian's words, Duan Rufeng could not help but narrow his eyes. A cold gleam flashed in his eyes. The Zoroastrianism was the sect that had imprisoned his daughter-in-law and granddaughter. Which sect was this person before him from? Swoosh. At the side, Rong Yuan's expression changed drastically. He did not expect this. The leader of this group of people was actually an elder from the Zoroastrianism, one of the three great sects in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. Unlike Duan Rufeng and Lian, most of the black armored guards had never heard of the Zoroastrianism before, so they were rather calm. Naturally, there were also a few black armored guards who had heard of the Zoroastrianism before. Most of these black armored guards were Decurions. There were also a few centurions, including Tong Zhong. When they heard Lian's words, their eyes narrowed immediately. A hint of dread could be seen on their faces. This old man who called himself Lian was actually an elder from the Zoroastrianism. However, after learning of Lian's identity, although they were afraid of him, they did not have any intention of retreating. Instead, they straightened their backs, ready to sacrifice everything for their Lord Mansion Master and the Azure Cloud Mansion. This included the most precious thing, their lives. As for the purpose of my visit, it's to bring Duan Lingtian's father and Duan Lingtian's family and friends to the upper province. I want to use all of you to lure Duan Lingtian out of the Zoroastrianism. At the same time, Lian's voice resonated again. For this reason, if you want to blame someone, blame your good son. He's the one who brought disaster to your Azure Cloud Mansion. He's the one who destroyed the Azure Cloud Mansion and all of you. Chapter 2052. Honor, has he joined Zoroastrianism? Duan Rufeng could not help but be stunned when he heard Lian's cold words. Worry rose in his heart involuntarily. However, when he heard Lian said he wanted to use him to lure his son, Duan Lingtian, out of Zoroastrianism, he realized his son was safe and sound. At the very least, his son was doing quite well in Zoroastrianism. Even this Zoroastrianism elder could not do anything to him. Otherwise, this Zoroastrianism elder would not have wanted to use him to lure his son away from Zoroastrianism. For a moment, Duan Rufeng did not blame his son for bringing disaster to the Azure Cloud Mansion. Instead, he felt proud of his son. No matter where he went, his son, Duan Rufeng, would always be an outstanding person. As a father, he was proud of his son. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, a burst of unbridled laughter resonated in the air. It was none other than Centurion Tong Zhong, who was among the black armored guards. After he stopped laughing, he looked at Lian disdainfully and said mockingly, "A dignified Zoroastrianism elder actually has to resort to such despicable means to deal with the young mansion master of our Azure Cloud Mansion. How pathetic. As for what you said about the young mansion master bringing calamity to our Azure Cloud Mansion, he destroyed our brothers. Tell him, do all of you resent the young mansion master? Are all of you afraid of death?" Tong Zhong suddenly changed the topic and asked the black armored guards in a loud voice. When he reached the end of his question, his high-spirited voice was even more infectious. It affected all the black armored guards present on the scene, causing the blood in their bodies to boil. "We don't resent him. We don't resent him. We don't fear death. We don't fear death. The moment Tong Zhong's words left his mouth, the group of black armored guards present on the scene roared one after another. The roars converged together and turned into a thunderous sound wave, causing ripples to appear in the surrounding void. Even the clouds in the sky were scattered by the sound wave. The group of black armored guards' auras were extremely imposing. Although they knew they might not be a match for the powerhouses from the upper province, even if they joined forces, they were not afraid at all. For the Azure Cloud Mansion, for Lord Mansion Master, and the young Mansion Master, they would die without regrets. The scene before him was clearly not what Lian wanted to see. Lian wanted to see the people from the Azure Cloud Mansion were terrified and in despair as they blamed Duan Lingtian as they said. They wanted to leave the Azure Cloud Mansion and cut all ties with it. However, he did not expect this outcome. When the group of people from the Azure Cloud Mansion faced the group of powerhouses from the upper province, not only did they not show any signs of fear or despair, but they also did not blame Duan Lingtian at all. Instead, they even said they wanted to leave the Azure Cloud Mansion and cut ties with the Azure Cloud Mansion. Lian was so furious that his face turned pale. This was completely different from what he had imagined. You don't fear death? After taking a deep breath, Lian's eyes flashed coldly with killing intent. He smiled coldly and said, "Since all of you are not afraid of death, I'll fulfill your wishes." As soon as Lian finished speaking, he raised his right hand and made a hand gesture. When the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Northern Plethora sect saw Lian's hand gesture, they stared at the group of black armored guards behind Duan Rufeng and Rong Yuan coldly. As soon as Lian gave the order, they would make their move at lightning speed and kill all of the black armored guards in front of them. How boastful! When Lian was about to give the order for the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind him to make their move, a cold voice resonated in the air and diverted Lian's attention. Lian's gaze shifted to Duan Rufeng, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion. The person who had spoken earlier was none other than Duan Rufeng. You'll find out soon enough if I'm boastful or not. You should be glad you're Duan Lingtian's father. Otherwise, you'll definitely die today. Lian looked at Duan Rufeng and sneered. However, even if you don't die today, you'll still die after I use you to lure Duan Lingtian out and kill Duan Lingtian. Lian's words were filled with a thick, murderous intent. There's no need to wait anymore. When Lian suddenly lowered his right hand and was about to give the order for the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind him to make their move, Duan Rufeng's voice resonated in the air again. It was as intimidating as the morning bell. Duan Rufeng's cold voice caused the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Lian who were about to make their move to be stunned. In the next moment, their eyes shifted to Duan Rufeng again. Kill. Lian's expression turned grave. Just as he was about to give the order again, he stopped speaking as soon as he opened his mouth. This was because his attention was completely focused on Duan Rufeng. Duan Rufeng, who was completely shrouded in devil chi, stood in the distance. His robe fluttered in the wind, and his long hair that was no longer tied up by the headband was wriggling like a python. It was a strange sight. At the same time, Duan Rufeng's hands that seemed to be burning with black flames opened and closed widely as he formed a set of hand seals that seemed very profound. Boom, 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 boom. Complicated hand seals were formed again and again as his hands slapped the void, causing the air to ripple and emit a series of muffled explosions. As a powerhouse at the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage, Lian's aura was not something ordinary people could compare to. Lian could clearly sense it. As Duan Rufeng made one mysterious hand seal after another, the void seemed to be on the verge of collapsing. Moreover, it gave Duan Rufeng an ominous premonition as he sensed a dangerous aura. What's he doing? Regarding this, Lian could not understand no matter how hard he thought about it. However, he felt that his heart was inexplicably flustered at this moment, as if something big was about to happen. Lian took a deep breath as his eyes turned cold. His saint origin surged out of his body to stop Duan Rufeng. It's too late. As soon as Lian's saint origin surged out of his body, Duan Rufeng's voice resonated in the air. His tone was cold and decisive. Boom. As Duan Rufeng's last hand seal that was filled with monstrous devil chi descended, The void suddenly shook before it began to distort and form a whirlpool at an extremely fast speed under the watchful eyes of the others. As soon as the whirlpool appeared, one could see a deep darkness in the center of the whirlpool. This darkness was enough to make one's hair stand on end with just a glance. Apart from that, the suction force from the whirlpool was not directed at Unravel and the others. Instead, it was directed at the other side of the air. Upon seeing this, Leon and the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind him were not the only ones who were shocked. Even Rong Yuan and the group of black armored guards, including Tong Zhong, were shocked as well. Lord Mansion Master, what kind of technique is this? Rong Yuan's eyes widened in shock. This was his first time seeing his mansion using such a technique. Come out. While everyone's attention was still on Duan Rufing's reverse whirlpool, Duan Rufing's emotionless voice resonated in the air again. It was so cold that it caused the atmosphere to become even more oppressive. As soon as Duan Rufing finished speaking, the others were shocked to see something. Inside the reverse vortex, in the deep darkness, a behemoth appeared. The gigantic object that was the size of a small mountain emitted vast and pure devil chi as it walked out of the darkness at a leisurely pace. It attracted everyone's attention when it appeared in front of them. The gigantic object was more than 10 meters tall. It was a stone golem that was formed from huge rocks that were as black as ink. It did not have any facial features, and it only had a humanoid body. It was awe-inspiring as it stood there. Imperceptibly, it also brought about a strong sense of oppression. What's this? Leon was stunned when he saw the stone golem that was filled with devil chi. This was his first time seeing such a monster. He could clearly sense an unparalleled power from the stone golem in front of him. Even if it was compared to his current strength, it would only be stronger. However, he could not sense any signs of life from the stone golem. It was as though it was a lifeless stone golem. Combined. While everyone's attention was on the stone golem, Duan Rufing's voice resonated in the air again. Everyone turned to look at him in unison. Under everyone's watchful eyes, Duan Rufing moved and shot toward the stone golem. When his body came into contact with the stone golem, a shocking scene unfolded before their eyes. When Duan Rufing's body came into contact with the stone golem, a monstrous devil chi surged out of the stone golem and shrouded Duan Rufing. In the next instant, the devil chi was sucked into the stone golem's body, whereas Duan Rufing had completely vanished without a trace. As soon as Duan Rufing disappeared, Saint Devil Puppet, one of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Leon, seemed to have thought of something. His expression changed drastically, and his eyes were filled with terror. At the same time, he lost his composure and cried out in alarm. Saint Devil Puppet? When the whirlpool in the opposite direction gradually disappeared, everyone, including Leon, was stunned. Saint Devil Puppet? They had never heard of it before. However, they had heard of human puppet, earth puppet, and sky puppet in the past. These three types of puppets were all puppets controlled by demonic cultivators. Chapter 2053. However, even the strongest heavenly devil puppet was only comparable to a martial cultivator at the peak of the quintessential saint stage at most. The heavenly devil puppet was nothing in front of a Saint Celestial stage powerhouse. For this reason, in a battle between Saint Celestial stage powerhouses, even if one of them was a devil cultivator who was skilled in controlling devil puppets, they would not control their devil puppets to fight. After all, the devil puppets would only be a burden to them. In fact, Leon had noticed earlier. The stone golem in front of him was emitting a majestic and pure devil chi. Its strength was not inferior to his at all. However, when he discovered the stone golem did not seem to be alive or sentient, he heaved a sigh of relief. When he saw Duan Rufing had disappeared and the stone golem seemed to have gained sentience, he realized Duan Rufing must have temporarily merged with the stone golem. Saint Devil Puppet? What's a Saint Devil Puppet? Leon turned to look at the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect who had exclaimed in surprise earlier. The Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect did not dare to be negligent when faced with Leanne's question. He quickly explained, It's said that the last time the Saint Devil puppet appeared was in an era a long time ago. That era was called the Human Devil Era. Human Devil Era? Leon narrowed his eyes when he heard the words of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect. Perhaps he had not heard of the Saint Devil puppet before. However, he was no stranger to the Human Devil Era. He knew that it was an extremely chaotic era. During that era, a group of devil clans had emerged from the land of exile and caused rivers of blood to flow in the Dao Martial Saint Land. In the end, all the human powerhouses in the Dao Martial Saint Land had joined forces and defeated the group of devils, forcing them to return to the land of exile. Yes, the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect nodded when he heard Lian's question. He said, "I've read about it in an ancient book." During the Human Devil Era, some devils and devil cultivators who cultivated devil cultivation methods knew how to summon Saint Devil puppets. Saint Devil puppets are different from human devil puppets, earth devil puppets, and sky devil puppets. The latter are created by devil cultivators using humans as the foundation. The former came from the land of exile. It is said that only the Saint Devil altar in the land of exile can give birth to Saint Devil puppets. The expression of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect turned solemn when he spoke. The weakest Saint Devil puppet is comparable to a powerhouse at the first form of the Saint Celestial stage, while the strongest one is comparable to a powerhouse at the ninth form of the Saint Celestial stage. The Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect took a deep breath before he looked at the stone golem, the Saint Devil puppet, in the distance. He continued to say, "This Saint Devil puppet was summoned by Duan Rufeng, the mansion master of Azure Cloud Mansion, from the land of exile using a secret technique. I can't believe there's still someone who knows how to summon a Saint Devil puppet even after such a long time has passed since the Human Devil Era. Although the Saint Devil puppet itself possesses unparalleled power, it has no life or intelligence. Only when the summoner merges with it can he bestow it with life and intelligence and control it as if it were his own arm." The expression of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect turned solemn when he finished speaking. He continued to say, "Once the summoner and the Saint Devil puppet become one, the summoner will be able to fully unleash the power of the Saint Devil puppet." Swoosh! As soon as the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect finished speaking, horror dawned on Lian's face. The strength of the Saint Devil puppet in front of him was not any weaker than his. It was fine if the Saint Devil puppet did not have any life or intelligence. No matter how powerful it was, it would not pose a threat to him. However, the Saint Devil puppet had been given life and intelligence by Duan Rufeng. Therefore, Duan Rufeng could control its strength as though it was his own arm. To him, this was not good news at all. Saint Devil puppet? The people from the Azure Cloud Mansion, including Rong Yuan and Tong Zhong, had also heard the words of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouse from the Northern Plethora sect. They instantly learned what the Saint Devil puppet was. Lian's expression seems to have changed. It seems like the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Lord Mansion Master is powerful enough to pose a threat to him. Otherwise, his expression wouldn't have changed. You're right. The group of black armored guards, including Rong Yuan and Tong Zhong, had also discovered this. All of them were so excited that their faces flushed red, although they had already made up their minds to die. If there was a chance for them to live, they would still be very happy and would not want to miss it. Everyone was afraid of death. They were no exception. However, in their hearts, there were some things that were more important than their lives. They were worth risking their lives to protect. "Lian, do you dare to fight with me?" At this moment, Duan Rufeng's voice resonated in the air again. His voice was like a clap of thunder, causing everyone's eardrums to hurt. Everyone's attention was instantly attracted by Duan Rufeng's voice. What entered everyone's eyes was a stone golem the size of a small mountain. It was none other than the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng. Its body was shrouded in dense and pure devil chi. Such pure devil chi was not something a devil cultivator in the Dao Martial Saint Land would possess. Only the real devil clans in the land of exile would possess such pure devil chi. The Saint Devil puppet came from the Saint Devil altar in the land of exile. Naturally, The devil chi in its body was extremely pure. It was comparable to the orthodox devil clans. Currently, Duan Rufeng was controlling the Saint Devil puppet that was comparable to the orthodox devil clans to challenge Lian. When Duan Rufeng issued a challenge to Lian, it was not only the people from the Azure Cloud Mansion, but even the group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Northern Plethora sect standing behind Lian turned to look at him in unison. All of them were curious. Would Lian accept the challenge? Hermph. Faced with Duan Lingtian's challenge, Lian did not back down. He snorted coldly before he said disdainfully, Duan Rufeng, the gap between our strength is like a chasm. Even if you've summoned this Saint Devil puppet from the land of exile, you're still trash in my eyes. You're destined to not be a match for me. You're asking me if I dare to accept your challenge? Why would I, Lian, not dare to accept your challenge? Apart from calling Duan Lingtian a piece of trash, Lian accepted the challenge. Fight. When Lian accepted the challenge, the atmosphere turned solemn again. After a while, an uproar broke out. Naturally, the crowd was also staring at the Saint Devil puppet that Duan Rufeng was controlling and Lian. At this moment, they were the main characters. Whoosh. At this moment, Lian made his move without any warning. He seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning as he charged toward the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng. Lian made his move. His speed was so fast that it was as though he was rushing to be reborn. At the same time, the strength of a powerhouse at the fourth form of the Saint Celestial stage was fully displayed. Faced with Lian's ferocious attack, the Saint Devil puppet that Duan Rufeng controlled easily dodged Lian's probing attack even though it looked heavy and clumsy. Following that, under the watchful eyes of the others, Lian and the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng finally began their battle. Boom, 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 boom. Thunderous explosions reverberated in the air as the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng clashed with Lian. Both of them were fighting each other head-on. In the beginning, both of them were evenly matched. It was difficult to determine the victor. However, as time passed, Lian's momentum seemed to have weakened. Naturally, Lian did not become weaker. It was just that after Duan Rufeng familiarized himself with the Saint Devil puppet for a while, his control over his strength had improved. In comparison, Lian was, naturally, weaker. Bang! A loud sound resonated in the air as the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng found a perfect opportunity to punch Lian's weak point and landed a punch on Lian's chest. A loud explosion rang in the air as Lian was sent flying back like an arrow. When he returned to the side of the Saint Celestial stage powerhouses from the Northern Plethora sect, he cut a sorry figure. Zoroastrianism's Silver Flame Elder is just us. Duan Rufeng, who was controlling the Saint Devil puppet, said disdainfully. Lian could no longer hold back his anger when he heard Duan Rufeng's disdainful words. He spat out a mouthful of blood that stained the ground. Naturally, the blood was not caused by Duan Rufeng's words. It was caused by the punch from the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng. Initially, Lian wanted to swallow the blood. However, it seemed like he no longer had the chance to do so. Duan Rufeng, don't be so smug. If the Saint Devil puppet you control is only this weak, today, I will not only destroy the Saint Devil puppet, I will also kill you. In any case, even if you're not here, I'm not worried I won't be able to lure Duan Lingtian out. Lian's eyes narrowed into a line as he tried his best to calm down. However, his gradually calming tone contained waves of killing intent. Whoosh! At some point in time, a saber had appeared in Lian's hand. The saber was completely red as though it was dyed in blood. The divine dragon carving on the hilt gave off a domineering feeling. Azura saber. Chapter 2054. There were a total of 10 Grade Saint weapons in the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking. Among them, there were a few Grade Saint weapons that were mainly offensive and offensive. They were so powerful that they could completely suppress the 1,000 inscription saint weapons in the Dao Martial Saint Land. The Azura Saber was one of them. The Shura Saber did not have the special ability to suppress devil cultivators like the Devil Seal Tablet, which was also a 10 Great Grade Saint weapon. It only had the powerful offensive power of a 10,000 inscription saint weapon. At this moment, the Azura saber appeared in Li An's hand. As soon as the saber appeared in his hand, Li An's aura underwent an earth-shattering change in just a blink of an eye. Above the vast Saint Chi that permeated the surface of Li An's body, strands of lightning-like blood-red astral chi appeared, causing the vast aura radiating from Li An's body to take on an austere aura. In just a blink of an eye, Li An's aura underwent an earth-shattering change. If one were to say, previously, Li An was like a ferocious beast. However, the current Li An was not only ferocious, but he was also bloodthirsty. He gave off an extremely dangerous aura. All of this was due to the Grade Saint weapon, the Azura saber, that appeared out of thin air in his hand. Before the Azura saber appeared, he was completely normal. However, after it appeared, he had completely changed. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. When Rong Yuan, Tong Zhong, and the black armored guards on the Azure Cloud Mansion sighed, sensed the change in Li An's aura, horror dawned on their faces immediately. At this moment, they realized this was not the case. This was Li An's true strength. This is, at the same time, the group of Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Li An regained their senses one after another. All of them stared at the blood saber in Li An's hand in disbelief. Xiao. At this moment, the group of Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses, also recognized the blood saber in Li An's hand. One of them could not help but exclaim in shock. However, as soon as he spat out the word Xiao, he didn't continue. This was because he no longer had a chance. Wong. It was accompanied by a short-lived, ear-piercing sound of a saber. It was earth-shattering. In the next moment, chi, 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 chi. It was not just the Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouse who had cried out in alarm. Even the remaining Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Li An were severed at the waist by the short-lived blood-red saber ray. Pillars of blood spurted out and splattered all over the sky. The people from the Azure Cloud Mansion were stunned. Many of the Black Armored Army's disciples turned pale in an instant. A group of Saint Celestial stage powerhouses had been killed in the blink of an eye. Not only that, as soon as the bodies of the Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Li An were severed into two, the blood-red saber ray shot out several streaks of blood-red energy that entered their minds and destroyed their souls. At this moment, the group of Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind Li An were all dead. He died in Li An's own hands. The reason why Li An killed them was very simple. He didn't wish for the news of him possessing the renowned saint weapon on the 10 great saint weapons rankings, the Azura saber, to be exposed. For this reason, he had no choice but to kill the group of Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind him. When he took out the Azura saber, he had already guessed the group of Northern Plethora sects, Saint Celestial stage powerhouses behind him would recognize the Azura saber. For this reason, he was cautious. Before these people could reveal the Shura saber's background, he would kill them first. In order to protect the Azura saber, Li An was willing to make an enemy out of everyone in the world, because to a certain extent, the Azura saber could even change Li An's fate. For this reason, he would not allow anyone to lay a finger on the Azura saber. Gasp, 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 gasp. When the group of Black Armored Army's guards, led by Rong Yuan and Tong Zhong, saw Li An killing the group of Upper Province's powerhouses behind him, they could not help but gasp. When they looked at Li An again, there was only dread in their eyes. Li An even dared to kill his own people. Was there anything he did not dare to do? Li An is really ruthless. He's too ruthless. Those people were his own people. However, they died in his hands. Even their souls were destroyed. They won't be able to come back to life. I wonder why this Li An wants to kill his own people. After the Black Armored Army's guards recovered from their shock, they began to whisper among themselves. In the end, they were all curious about the same thing. Why did Li An kill his own people? There must be a motive to kill, right? It seems like Li An only killed the group of Upper Province's powerhouses behind him after he took out the Crimson Saber in his hand. Could it be that there's something strange about the Crimson Saber in his hand? The Crimson Saber in his hand seems to be made of fresh blood. Could it be that the crimson saber needs to be stained with the blood of many people to unleash its true strength? That's possible. At the same time, the group of black armored army's guards began to speculate about the reason Lian killed his own people. Azura saber. At this moment, a surprised voice resonated in the air. It was none other than Duan Rufeng who was controlling the Saint Devil puppet. Duan Rufeng's exclamation caused the group of black armored army's guards to regain their senses. Azura saber. These three words were not unfamiliar to them. The Azura saber was one of the legendary 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking. It was extremely powerful and was one of the top saint weapons in the Dao martial saint land. Rumor had it that, if an ordinary martial cultivator at the peak of the exemplary saint stage obtained the Azura saber, he would be able to instantly kill an early quintessential saint stage powerhouse. He would even be able to fight an intermediate quintessential saint stage powerhouse. Based on this, one could see how powerful and terrifying the Azura saber was. However, the Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion had just said that the Azura saber was the Azura saber. The Crimson Saber in Lian's hand was the famous 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking, the Azura saber? How could they not be shocked? Azura saber. I can't believe this elder from the Zoroastrianism actually obtained the Azura saber. Before using the Azura saber, is there a need to sacrifice blood to the saber? Why haven't I heard of it before? It's a famous 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking after all. Before using the Azura saber, there might be a need to sacrifice blood to the saber. You're right. After learning the Crimson Saber in Lian's hand was the famous 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking, the group of black armored army's guards sighed emotionally. Naturally, many of the black armored army's guards had a grave expression on their faces as well. Earlier, although their Lord Mansion Master of Azure Cloud Mansion had gained the upper hand in the battle with Lian, it was not that obvious. However, now that Lian had taken out the Azura saber, one of the famous 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking, his strength had increased tremendously. Under such circumstances, would the Mansion Master of the Azure Cloud Mansion still be able to suppress Lian like before? They were not certain about this. Due to this reason, they were slightly worried. You recognize the Azura saber? Lian narrowed his eyes and his heart sank when he heard Duan Rufeng's words, revealing the secret behind the blood saber in his hand. He did not expect Duan Rufeng would be able to defeat him. He did not expect Duan Rufeng would be able to recognize the Azura saber in his hand. He had killed the group of Northern Plethora Sect's Saint Celestial stage powerhouses at lightning speed because he was worried they would expose the Azura saber in his hand. He did not want Duan Rufeng and the others to know he possessed the Azura saber. However, Duan Rufeng had recognized the Azura saber in his hand. Lian, if I'm not mistaken, you killed them because you were worried they would spread the news of you possessing the Azura saber, right? As far as I know, there's no need to sacrifice blood to the Azura saber. Duan Rufeng, who was controlling the Saint Devil puppet, said indifferently when he heard the surprise in Lian's voice. Naturally, he did not recognize the Azura saber. However, when the Devil Cultivator Black Nether subsoul that had occupied his body disappeared, he had left behind some memories. There was a record of the Azura saber in that memory. Black Nether had also obtained the Azura saber in the past. For this reason, the Azura saber had left a deep impression in his memory. For this reason, Duan Rufeng immediately recognized the Azura saber in Lian's hand. It was one of the 10 Great Saint weapons on the 10 Great Saint weapons ranking. Duan Rufeng. Lian stared at Duan Rufeng coldly as he said in a deep voice, I have to admit that you're very knowledgeable. However, sometimes, being knowledgeable isn't necessarily a good thing. For example, I didn't plan to kill you so quickly. However, it seems like I have no choice but to kill you as soon as possible to prevent you from spreading rumors. As for luring Duan Lingtian out, as long as Duan Lingtian's friends and family are around, I'm not worried that he won't take the bait even if you're not around. When Lian reached the end of his sentence, the Azura saber in his hand glowed with a crimson light. His voice was extremely cold as he said, Therefore, you and the Saint Devil puppet that you've summoned can die now. As soon as Lian finished speaking, he made his move. Whoosh! Lian's body moved and set off a gust of cold wind as he charged toward the Saint Devil puppet that was controlled by Duan Ru Feng in a fierce manner. Buzz, 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 buzz. At the same time, the sound of saber humming rang in the air. Around the body of the Saint Devil puppet, streaks of blood-red blade light suddenly appeared out of nowhere. They gathered around the Saint Devil puppet as though they wanted to tear it to shreds. How powerful! Chapter 2055. At the same time, Duan Ruffing also discovered that Li Lan's strength was not weak at all. It seemed like the Saint Devil puppet he had summoned was not strong enough to deal with Lian. After Lian took out the Azura saber, his strength had risen to a whole new level. His strength was comparable to an ordinary powerhouse at the 5th form of the Saint Celestial stage. The Saint Devil puppet he had summoned was only comparable to a powerhouse at the 4th form of the Saint Celestial stage. At most, it was comparable to a powerhouse at the 5th form of the Saint Celestial stage. It was still a long way from reaching the 5th form of the Saint Celestial stage. Although Duan Ruffeng could control the Saint Devil puppet as though it was his own arm, he was still weaker than Lian, who wielded the Azura saber. It seems like I have no choice but to use that technique. Faced with Lian's threat, Duan Ruffeng recalled the taboo secret tactic He Ming had left behind. It was similar to an assist-type divine ability. However, the side effect of the taboo secret tactic was the side effect of using an assist-type divine ability. It was similar to the side effect of consuming a forbidden pill. If it was not because he was facing a life and death crisis, Duan Rufeng would not have thought of using the forbidden secret tactic because the price he had to pay for using it was too high. However, based on the current situation, he was on the brink of death. Presently, his life was already hanging by a thread, and if he still hesitated, then he would most likely become a ghost under Lian's blade. I thought I'd be able to kill Lian by summoning the Saint Devil puppet. I didn't expect him to obtain the Azura saber, one of the 10 great saint weapons on the 10 great saint weapons ranking. At this moment, Duan Rufeng was also irritated. If he had a choice, he was unwilling to use the forbidden secret tactic. Rumble. Just as Duan Rufeng was about to use the taboo secret tactic, a deafening explosion sounded from the sky. In the next moment, a gigantic black shadow appeared. It seemed to be able to blot out the sun as it descended on the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng. It was as though Mount Tai was pressing down on it. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. At the same time, the blood-red saber gleams shot out from Lian's Azura saber. The Saint Great artifact also shot out toward the Saint Devil puppet's head. Duan Rufeng was hiding in the head of the Holy Devil puppet. This point, Lian's divine sense could still detect. Boom, 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 boom. However, before the blood-red saber lights could reach the Saint Devil puppet's head, the black shadow that fell from the sky crashed into the Saint Devil puppet's head, setting off a series of thunderous explosions. The blood-colored blade glows were shattered one by one. That enormous black figure, which was like Mount Tai, swiftly shrunk. Finally, it turned into the size of an adult's fist. Taking a closer look, it was actually a seal. The bottom of the seal was flat, while the top was carved with mountains of different shapes. At first glance, there were over 10,000 mountains. 10,000 mountain seal? Duan Rufeng was shocked when he saw the seal. At the same time, he temporarily dismissed the idea of using the taboo secret tactic. The 10,000 mountain seal was recorded in the memories that He Ming had left for him. The 10,000 mountain seal was one of the 10 great saint weapons on the 10 great saint weapons ranking. In fact, it was ranked in the top 3 among the 10 great saint weapons. Not only did it possess the offensive strength of a 10,000 inscription saint weapon, but it could also change its size. Just like just now, it was as if it had transformed into a towering mountain that descended from the sky and blocked out the sun. Duan Rufeng did not expect this. Today, not only did he see the Azura saber, the Saint Great artifact on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking, but he also saw the 10,000 Mountain Seal on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking. Moreover, the latter's ranking on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking was much higher than the Azura saber. The 10,000 Mountain Seal. When Duan Rufeng recognized the 10,000 Mountain Seal, Lian, the silver flame elder of the Zoroastrianism, naturally recognized the 10,000 mountain seal as well. His eyes narrowed when he recognized it. However, a moment later, his lifeless gaze changed again, and it became bright again. The 10,000 mountain seal was a saint-grade artifact that was even more powerful than the Azura saber. Moreover, its ranking on the 10 Great Saint Weapons rankings had even steadily entered the top 3. Whoosh! Without any hesitation, Lian moved and shot out like a bolt of lightning. He wanted to snatch the 10,000 mountain seal that was hovering in the air nearby. However, he ended up pouncing on empty air. Before he could even touch the 10,000 mountain seal, the 10,000 mountain seal disappeared from its spot at an even faster speed. Whoosh! When it reappeared again, it was in the hands of a black-clad young man who seemed to have appeared out of thin air. The black-clad young man who was holding the 10,000 mountain seal did not pay any attention to Lian. Instead, he looked at Unravel. To be more precise, he was looking at the Saint Devil puppet that Unravel controlled. Unravel, do you know what you're doing? The black-clad young man's cold and evil expression darkened as he questioned Unravel coldly as he looked at the myriad devil puppet. Dugu, it's you. Unravel was surprised when he saw the black-clad young man. Based on his tone, he did not expect the owner of the 10,000 mountain seal to be this person. It's the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market, Dugu. At the same time, Rong Yuan was stunned when he saw the black-clad young man. When he regained his senses, he could not help but have an expression of disbelief on his face. The black-clad young man was no stranger to him. He was none other than the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market, the only quasi-third-rate force in the WCI Subterranean that could challenge the Azure Cloud Mansion. However, it did not cross his mind that he would see Dugu here. Moreover, based on the strength that Dugu had displayed earlier, it seemed like he was not any weaker than his mansion master who had summoned the Saint Devil puppet. Unravel, I'm asking you a question. Do you know what you're doing? Unravel asked coldly. It was as though he did not want to say anything else to Unravel before he obtained the answer to his question. I know what I'm doing. Unravel, who was in the Saint Devil puppet, finally replied to Dugu. I know what I'm doing will further destroy the space barrier between our realm and the land of exile. However, I have no other choice. If I don't summon the Saint Devil puppet from the land of exile, I won't be able to deal with this Zoroastrianism elder at all. After all, the Devil Clan's legacy I obtained is different from yours. You don't have to rely on the Saint Devil puppet, but I do. Duan Rufeng's words were filled with certainty. There was no hint of regret in his words. Based on his words, one could tell that Unravel was not lying. Whether it was him or Dugu, the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market, both of them had obtained the Devil Clan's legacy. Although the Devil Clan's legacy and the Devil Cultivator's legacy only differed by one word, the difference was like heaven and earth. The Devil Clan referred to the orthodox Devil Clans from the land of exile. All of them were powerful beings with extraordinary innate talents that ordinary humans could not compare to. Devil Cultivators referred to humans who had obtained the Devil Clan's legacy. Generally speaking, only Devil Cultivators during the Human Devil era could obtain the Devil Clan's legacy easily. With the passage of time and the change of eras, the Devil Cultivators of the later generations could only obtain the inheritances left behind by other Devil Cultivators. The orthodox inheritance of the Devil Clan was gradually lost. This was the current situation of Devil Cultivators. Naturally, there were still Devil Cultivators who were as rare as Phoenix Feathers and Qilin Horns who obtained the legacy left behind by the Devil Clans during the Human Devil era. For example, Black Nether, the Devil Cultivator who occupied Unravel's body, had obtained the orthodox Devil Clan's legacy. Later on, Unravel had obtained Black Nether's memory. This was equivalent to Unravel obtaining the orthodox Devil Clan's legacy. Dugu, the leader of the Mountain Shade Black Market, had also obtained the orthodox Devil Clan's legacy. When these two people who had obtained the orthodox Devil Clan's legacy met for the first time, they noticed the similarities between them. Due to this reason, they regarded each other as their nemesis and had been fighting ever since. Although both of them had obtained the orthodox Devil Clan's legacy, the legacies they obtained were completely different. For example, Duan Rufeng obtained the Devil Clan's legacy that was related to the Saint Devil puppet. On the other hand, the Devil Clan's legacy that was passed down to Black Nether was able to summon a Saint Devil puppet whose strength was comparable to a powerhouse at the ninth form of the Saint Celestial stage from the Saint Devil altar in the Land of Exile during the Human Devil era. Based on this, one could see how rare and precious the Devil Clan's legacy that Duan Rufeng obtained was. Of course, the process of summoning the Saint Devil puppet would also affect the stability of the two planes. It would destroy the spatial barrier between the two planes to a certain extent. Once the space barrier was destroyed, the Devil Clans in the Land of Exile would invade the Dao Martial Saint Land just like they did during the Human Devil era. For this reason, Dugu questioned Duan Rufeng. After all, if Duan Rufeng did this, he would become an accomplice of the Devil Clans in the Land of Exile. The Devil Clan's legacy? Lian's eyes widened in shock when he heard Duan Rufeng's words. Naturally, he knew very well what the Devil Clan's legacy meant. As it turns out, he has obtained the Devil Clan's legacy. No wonder he knows how to summon the Saint Devil puppet from the Saint Devil altar in the Land of Exile. At this moment, Lian finally understood many things. Just as the shock on Lian's face gradually faded, Lian's expression changed. All of a sudden, his expression changed as though he had sensed something. This was because he noticed the black-clad young man, holding the 10,000 Mountain seal, had shifted his attention to him without him noticing. Moreover, the black-clad young man was glaring at him like a tiger eyeing its prey. A hint of killing intent could be seen in the black-clad young man's eyes. Dugu, thank you. Chapter 2056. At this moment, the black-clad young man was glaring at him fiercely. Why else would Duan Rufeng thank the black-clad young man? He knew the black-clad young man was going to join forces with Duan Rufeng to deal with him. As expected, in the next moment, he realized something. As the black-clad young man glared at Duan Rufeng, the Saint Devil puppet under Duan Rufeng's control began to move faster and faster toward Duan Rufeng. In the end, the sound of wind and thunder could be heard. You're called Dugu, right? As long as you don't interfere in today's matter, I'm willing to recommend you to join Zoroastrianism and become a bronze flame elder of Zoroastrianism. Lian took a deep breath and tightened his grip on the Azura saber. Then, he looked at Dugu and said in a voice that he thought was filled with temptation, with your potential, it's only a matter of time before you become a silver flame elder like me. Of course, he was just saying that. As long as Dugu did not interfere, he would definitely kill Dugu after he killed Duan Rufeng. It was all because of the Saint-grade weapon, the 10,000 Mountain seal, in Dugu's hand. That was a Saint-grade weapon that was even more powerful than the Azura saber in his hand. It was a Saint-grade weapon that could be ranked in the top 3 on the 10 Great Saint Weapons ranking. Although Dugu had relied on the 10,000 Mountain seal to destroy his attack, that was because his attack was not targeted at Dugu. It was targeted at Duan Rufeng. Otherwise, Dugu would not have been able to destroy his attack so easily. If it was a one-on-one battle, he was not afraid of Duan Rufeng or Dugu. However, if both of them attacked at the same time, he knew he was no match for them. Join Zoroastrianism and become a piece of trash like you? Do you think I care about that? Dugu smirked when he heard Lian's words. His words were not polite at all. He did not give Lian any face at all. You're seeking death. Dugu's words immediately enraged Lian. He was so angry that he wanted nothing more than to kill Dugu. However, when he saw the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan Rufeng charging at him, the killing intent that had just risen in his heart weakened a little. He immediately turned around and tried to flee. He already had a plan in mind. Now, a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. He left first. When the day came that Duan Rufeng or Dugu was alone, he would kill them one by one. Unfortunately, imagination was beautiful, but reality was cruel. Now, could Lian leave just because he wanted to? Rumble. Just as Lian's figure moved and was about to shoot into the distance to escape, an earth-shattering sound came from the distant sky. In the next moment, the 10,000 Mountain seal that had transformed into a towering mountain that had appeared in the distant sky at an unknown time also descended at the same time. While it covered the sky and the sun, It seemed as though it could suppress everything in the world. Boom! Although Lian had hastily used the Shura saber in his hand, he was still injured by the 10,000 Mountains seal. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. He cut a sorry figure. Boom! 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 At the same time, Duan controlled the Saint Devil puppet to charge at Lian at an extremely fast speed. It was as though it had the help of the gods. On the other hand, Duan Saint Devil puppet moved at an extremely fast speed. Every step it took shook the void and set off a series of explosions. At the same time, it seemed as though it was stepping on Lian's chest, causing Lian's expression to change. Above him was the 10,000 Mountains seal. Behind him was the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan, and in front of him was Dugu, who possessed extraordinary strength. At this moment, Lian realized it would be difficult for him to escape. Let's fight. Taking a deep breath, Lian's eyes glowed with a chilling light. He was not a kind person to begin with. Now that he was forced into a corner, it was only natural that he would not resign himself to death. As long as I kill one of them, the other one is nothing to worry about. The moment Lian thought of this, he turned around and faced the Saint Devil puppet controlled by Duan. It was obvious he thought Duan was a pushover. He wanted to kill Duan first before dealing with Dugu. However, the development of the situation that followed was something that he had never dreamed of. Duan and Dugu seemed to be at loggerheads with each other. However, when they joined forces, they seemed to have a tacit understanding with each other. Every time they cooperated, it was as though they had the help of the gods. Even twins might not have such a tacit understanding with each other. It did not take long before Lian, who was under great pressure, was injured again and again. In the beginning, it was only a few minor injuries. However, after a while, he was heavily injured again and again, causing his aura to weaken. After a few moments, Lian's murderous aura was gone, and he looked like a frosted eggplant. Dugu, if you join forces with me to kill Duan, I'll give you the Azura saber. Lian knew he would die if this continued. He began to think of ways to save himself. The first thing he thought of was to use the Azura saber, a Saint-grade weapon, to tempt Dugu to change sides. Unfortunately, he was destined to be disappointed. Azura saber? Do you think I'll be interested in a Saint-grade weapon that's not even comparable to my 10,000 Mountains seal? Dugu was disdainful when faced with Lian's temptation. At the same time, he controlled the 10,000 Mountains seal to smash the defensive light shield formed by Saint Origin on the surface of Lian's body, shattering it. Barf. Once again, Lian's defense was shattered. Naturally, he suffered a backlash and threw up another mouthful of blood. His injuries worsened. After a few moments, Lian finally died in the hands of Duan and Dugu. A silver flame elder from the fire worship sect, the first silver flame elder of the Black Turtle Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums, had died in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saintland just like that. If news of this spread out, the entire upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland would be shocked. After all, apart from being a silver flame elder of the Zoroastrianism, Lian was also a powerhouse at the 4th form of the Saint Celestial stage. He was ranked 139th on the Supreme Saint ranking. He was one of the top powerhouses in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. However, such a powerhouse had died in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saintland that was looked down upon by the powerhouses in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saintland. You can have his lousy saber. I'll take his spatial ring. Dugu said indifferently after he killed Lian. He took the spatial ring from Lian's body before he turned around and left. From the beginning until the end, he did not even look at the Azura saber. No one knew if he really did not care about the Azura saber, or if there was another reason. Thank you. Duan thanked Dugu as he looked at Dugu's departing figure. After he thanked Dugu, his attention was completely attracted by the Azura saber. So, Duan immediately left the Saint Devil puppet and held the Azura saber in his hand. Congratulations, Lord Mansion Master. Congratulations, Lord Mansion Master. When Duan held the Azura saber in his hand, the people from the Azure Cloud Mansion, including Rong Yuan and Tong Zhong, immediately turned to Duan to congratulate him. Azura saber. Duan Rufing's heart trembled slightly when he saw the Azura saber in his hand. His eyes shone brightly. This saber was not an ordinary saber. It was a grade saint weapon, the Azura saber. It was one of the 10 grade saint weapons on the 10 great saint weapons ranking. Now that he had obtained it, his strength would definitely increase tremendously. To him, this was a joyous occasion. At the same time, while Duan Rufeng was still rejoicing over obtaining the Azura saber, there was a commotion at the inter-province transportation formation in the far north. Boom. Rumble. An earth-shattering sound rang in the air, causing the expression of the guard who was usually guarding the inter-province transportation formation to change drastically. What's going on? What's going on? Oh no! In the next moment, the guard's expression changed drastically as though he had discovered something. In his line of sight, apart from the ice and snow on the surface of the towering snow mountain that was used to construct the inter-province transportation formation, the ground and the mountain began to shake again. Crack, 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 crack. As a series of cracking sounds rang in the air, the guard could clearly see the cracks on the mountain. On the towering mountain where the base of the inter-province transportation formation was located, terrifying cracks began to appear one after another. As time passed, more and more cracks began to appear. Soon after, the guard saw the towering mountain had collapsed. The foundation of the inter-province transportation formation had been destroyed as well. No. All of a sudden, the guard seemed to have thought of something. Horror dawned on his face as his eyes turned red. At this moment, he finally regained his senses. Since the foundation of the inter-province transportation formation had been destroyed, it meant that the inter-province transportation formation in the WCI subterranean had disappeared. This meant that he could no longer return to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. How could he not be anxious? Boom, 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 boom. While the guard was panicking, another series of loud noises rang in the air, attracting his attention. In the next moment, the guard was shocked when he discovered that the towering mountain had collapsed. At the place where the towering mountain had collapsed, the void began to tremble. In the end, vortexes began to appear one after another. The speed of the vortexes gradually increased as well. These vortexes were reverse vortexes. What they gave him was a force of impact instead of a suction force. These vortexes seemed to be devouring the things on the other side of the void. They were trying to devour the things on the other side and transfer them to their side. When the guard narrowed his eyes, he saw another thing. In the center of one of the vortexes, 2 bullhorns suddenly appeared in the darkness. That was right, bullhorns. Behind the 2 horns, a ferocious and terrifying bull head appeared before his eyes. In just a blink of an eye, a huge monster appeared before his eyes. The reason he thought it was a monster was because it had a human body and a bull's head. Moreover, it was so huge that it did not look like a human at all. So many. At the same time, the guard saw another thing. Many monsters with a human body and a bull's head walked out of the other vortexes as well. Chapter 2057. Boom, 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 boom. Another series of deafening noises reverberated in the air, causing the watcher to feel numb. Then, under his watchful eyes, a series of whirlpools began to appear. Every time a loud noise reverberated in the air, a whirlpool would appear in the air. Moreover, it was a whirlpool in the opposite direction. The moment these whirlpools appeared, they were like blooming fireworks, dazzling and eye-catching. In just a blink of an eye, more than 100 whirlpools had appeared in the air. A monster with the head of a cow and the body of a human walked out of each whirlpool. Every time a vortex appeared, a monster would walk out of it and disappear. It was as if it had completed its mission. When more than 100 whirlpools had disappeared, more than 100 monsters with the head of a cow and the body of a human appeared in the watcher's line of sight. Ha 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 ha. All of a sudden, one of the monsters with the head of a cow that was 7 to 8 meters tall and was the largest among the hundreds of monsters laughed loudly. His laughter was unbridled, and it seemed to contain endless sound waves that shook the nearby space to the point of trembling. As the monster laughed, The watcher in the distance had his eardrums ruptured due to the sound waves. Blood flowed out of his 7 orifices as he lost his composure. How powerful! The watcher's face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. When he looked at the monster who was laughing again, a hint of fear could be seen in his eyes. Even in the first-rate forces in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land where he was from, only the leader would be so powerful. Just the sound waves from his laughter were enough to cause a quintessential Saint stage martial cultivator like him to bleed out of his 7 orifices. This wasn't something that just anyone could do. I didn't expect the warriors from the Ox Devil clan would be the first to arrive in the rich land after more than 100,000 years. Soon after, the monster with the head of a cow that was 7 to 8 meters tall stopped laughing and sighed. 100,000 years? The Ox Devil clan? The watcher's eyes widened when he heard the monster's sigh. He seemed to have recalled something as his body began to tremble. Could it be, they are the legendary demon race from the land of exile? He had read some records about the human devil era from hundreds of thousands of years ago in some ancient books. That era was also a chaotic era. During that era, let alone a quintessential saint stage martial cultivator like him, even saint celestial stage powerhouses and above would die in the hands of the devil clans from the land of exile. During the human devil era, almost everyone's expression changed when they heard the word devil. In that great war between humans and demons, countless humans had died before the demons were chased back to the land of exile. What the hell is going on? It had only been a few 100,000 years. Had the demons returned from the land of exile? Could it be that our plane is going to enter the human devil era again? Thinking of this, the watcher's expression changed again, and there was a heartfelt fear in the depths of her eyes. The human devil era was definitely a great disaster for the human race. 10th Elder, there's a human there. All of a sudden, the watcher heard a loud voice. It shocked him so much that he regained his senses. When he looked in the direction of the voice, he discovered he was being stared at by a monster. Moreover, the monster was talking to the biggest monster in the group and addressed him as the 10th Elder. In an instant, the monster known as the 10th Elder also looked at him. Just a casual glance from the 10th Elder was enough to scare him out of his wits. When the watcher saw the 10th Elder flying toward him, he felt as though his legs were made of lead. He could not move at all. He did not even have the strength to escape. He was completely terrified. Human, tell me about the current situation in the Saint Province realm. The 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan said in a hoarse voice. The 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan arrived in front of the Overseer in just a few moments. He stared at the Overseer with his huge eyes as he asked in a deep voice that was as loud as thunder. The Watcher felt suffocated when he heard the 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan. However, when he felt threatened by the 10th Elder, he obediently explained the situation in the Saint realm to the 10th Elder. Although Duanling Tian had never heard of the Saint Province realm before, he could guess that the Saint Province realm Duanling Tian was talking about was the realm he was currently in. The Dao Martial Saint Land is really divided into two. The strong ones have gone to the upper province, while the weak ones stay in the lower province. The 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan muttered to himself after he heard the Watcher's words. Based on his words, it was as though he already knew about this and was just confirming it. The 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan was indeed aware of this. He had learned about this from Zhu Luqi, who had accidentally entered the land of exile. After learning about the situation in the Saint Province realm from Zhu Luqi, he used the soul-searching tactic to learn the reason why Zhu Luqi was here. The Inter-Province Transportation Formation. Under Zhu Luqi's guidance, he found the weak point of the spatial barrier near the Inter-Province Transportation Formation in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. He gathered the elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan and broke the spatial barrier in one fell swoop. That was how the current situation came to be. After Zhu Luqi lost his value, he was killed by the 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan. Apart from that, the only inter-province transportation formation from the lower province to the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land has just been destroyed. The Watcher had a bitter expression on his face as he spoke with difficulty. The inter-province transportation formation has been destroyed? Upon hearing the Overseer's words, the 10th Elder of the Ox Devil clan's face was filled with ecstasy. Doesn't this mean the devil clans can recuperate in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land and conquer the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land in the future? The moment the 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan thought about this, his breathing quickened. He was extremely excited. The reason the devil clans were defeated in the past was due to their lack of preparation. This time, they could recuperate in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. When they were fully prepared, they could invade the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land and conquer the Saint Province realm. Very good. You've given me a piece of good news. In that case, I'll grant you a quick and painless death. The 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan said as he looked at the Watcher. As he spoke, he lifted his right hand and crushed the Watcher like a mountain. After killing the Watcher, the 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan opened his mouth and sucked in the Watcher's vital essence and blood that had yet to dissipate. After a while, the Watcher's body that was still alive had turned into a dried corpse. Warriors, the strongest person in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land in the Saint Province realm, is only at the quintessential saint stage. Even the weakest person among you can easily kill him. The 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan said loudly as he looked at the hundreds of Ox Devil clan members who had come to the Saint Province realm with him. From now on, all of you are free to move around and enjoy the feast. Before the other clans from the Devil clans come to the Saint Province realm, the Ox Devil clan will turn the Debussy subterranean upside down and occupy the best resources. As soon as the 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan finished speaking, the hundreds of elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan cheered excitedly. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. After receiving the order, the hundreds of elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan quickly dispersed and headed in different directions in the Debussy subterranean. The human devil era is coming again. This time, the Ox Devil clan will be the vanguard of the devil clans. We'll invade the Saint Province realm and expand the territory of the devil clans. The day of the devil clans is coming. After the group of elite warriors from the Ox Devil clan left, the 10th elder of the Ox Devil clan muttered to himself as he left the area in a flash. With the arrival of the members of the Ox Devil clan, a great calamity had begun in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. Naturally, Duan Lingtian, who was in the Zoroastrianism in the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, was unaware of all this. Moreover, he did not know the inter-province transportation formation that connected the lower province to the upper province to receive people from the upper province had been completely destroyed. From this moment onward, it was no longer possible to travel between the upper province and the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land, unless a powerhouse who was skilled in formations set up a new inter-province transportation formation in the Debussy subterranean. Only the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land had powerhouses who were capable of setting up inter-province transportation formations. Moreover, they were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Naturally, there were such powerhouses among the devil clans in the land of exile as well. For this reason, the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land had to rely on the devil clans to establish a connection between the upper province and the lower province. No matter how strong the people from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land were, it was impossible for them to enter the lower province since there was no inter-province transportation formation in the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land. In other words, the upper province and the lower province of the Dao Martial Saint Land would be separated forever. From now on, the people from the upper province of the Dao Martial Saint Land would have to depend on the devil clans when they could come to the lower province. After all, only the devil clans were capable of setting up inter-province transportation formations in the lower province to the upper province. In the enforcement hall of the Zoroastrianism in the upper province, a few days had passed, but there was still no news from Dong Lin's side. This surprised Duan Lingtian. Could it be that Vice Hall Master Dong doesn't intend to pursue the matter of me humiliating his son? Chapter 2058. In the following 20 days, Duan Lingtian thought Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall, would come looking for trouble with him. However, he discovered that Dong Yuanjin's father was not around. Dong Yuanjin was not the only one who did not do anything. Even his son, Dong Lin, did not do anything as well. The news didn't spread. It seems like the Bronze Flame Elders who were present that day were pressured by Tiandong and Dong Yuanjin, so they didn't dare to spread the news. Duan Ling Tian finally figured out the reason. If this had happened 20 days ago, perhaps Duan Ling Tian would have spread the news that he had humiliated Dong Lin. After all, he was very dissatisfied with Dong Lin and had suppressed his anger. However, now that Duan Ling Tian had calmed down, he no longer had the leisure to do so. Naturally, it was also because he would be leaving the enforcement hall the next day. He planned to leave Zoroastrianism after leaving the enforcement hall and look for a suitable place to improve his innate spiritual root so that he could improve his cultivation base as soon as possible. Kerr and their daughter might be in danger at any time. There was not much time left for him. To him, wasting even a little bit of time was equivalent to risking Kerr and their daughter's lives. I can finally leave. On the second day, Duan Lingtian's duty in the enforcement hall ended. He could finally leave the enforcement hall. He had been waiting for this day for a month. At the same time, the next batch of true disciples who had accepted their duty in the enforcement hall arrived at the main hall of the enforcement hall. Why your senior brother Ling Tian? When Duan Ling Tian was talking to one of the true disciples, the true disciple recognized Duan Ling Tian. He could not help but feel excited. Currently, many disciples of Zoroastrianism viewed Duan Ling Tian as their idol. Duan Ling Tian had only joined Zoroastrianism for less than a year, but he had become a true disciple of Zoroastrianism and was ranked 4th on the Zoroastrianism True Ranking. One should know the top 3 on the True Ranking were at the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage. For Duan Ling Tian to be ranked 4th on the True Ranking, this meant he was widely acknowledged as the strongest true disciple below the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage in the Zoroastrianism. Apart from that, there was another important point. Duan Ling Tian was currently ranked at the 537th place on the Supreme Saint ranking. He was ranked at the top among the Bronze Flame Elders and true disciples at the 2nd form of the Saint Celestial stage in the Zoroastrianism. For all these reasons, Duan Ling Tian had become the most popular prodigy in Zoroastrianism. Duan Ling Tian nodded and smiled when he saw the excited true disciple. From today onward, you'll be in charge of the position that I was previously in charge of. I'll definitely do my best, the true disciple said confidently when he heard Duan Ling Tian's words. After the other true disciples who had joined Duan Ling Tian a month ago handed over their jobs, they left the main hall of the enforcement hall with Duan Ling Tian. Although they left together, Duan Ling Tian acted as though he did not know Lu Yun at all. It was as though they were strangers. After all, in the eyes of outsiders, both of them had severed ties with each other. Junior brother Ling Tian, I heard you gave Dong Lin a good beating and even beat him into a pig's head. Is that true? Lu Yun's voice suddenly resonated in Duan Ling Tian's ears. It was none other than Lu Yun's voice transmission. Although both of them pretended to sever ties with each other, Lu Yun could not help but communicate with Duan Ling Tian through voice transmission. As soon as he opened his mouth, he asked Duan Ling Tian about the incident where he beat up Dong Lin. Senior brother Lu Yun, where did you hear about this? Duan Ling Tian was stunned when he heard Lu Yun's question. He could not help but ask through voice transmission. As far as Duan Ling Tian knew, this news was kept a secret. He was rather surprised that Lu Yun knew about this. I heard it from my great-grandfather. It's said that a bronze flame elder who was present at the scene revealed it to him, Lu Yun replied. Lu Yun replied in a timely manner. At the same time, he said, however, he also asked me not to spread this matter. Could it be true? Yes, it's true. Duan Ling Tian replied through voice transmission before he continued. That day, Dong Lin brought Tian Dong to look for me and wanted to teach me a lesson. However, Tian Dong did not dare to make a move on me due to my verbal threat. He allowed me to teach Dong Lin a lesson. Duan Ling Tian's words sounded nonchalant. However, to Lu Yun, it was like a bell that rang loudly in his ears. He was stunned. Tian Dong? Naturally, he was familiar with this name. Tian Dong was the first Silver Flame Elder in the Enforcement Hall. He was ranked 107th on the Supreme Saint ranking. Such a person did not dare to make a move on junior brother Ling Tian because he was threatened by Ling Tian. Lu Yun was stunned. After a long while, Lu Yun regained his senses. He inhaled sharply before he continued to ask, Junior brother Ling Tian, as far as I know, Tiandong is not only the first Silver Flame Elder in the Enforcement Hall, but he's also not a gentle person. How did you threaten him to not make a move on you? Actually, it's nothing much, Duanling Tian said nonchalantly. I saw that he wanted to help Dong Lin teach me a lesson. I said that if he dared to touch me, as long as I didn't die, I'd look for his children and direct disciples to spar with him. That's nothing much. Lu Yun was speechless when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. He had used Dong Lin's children and direct disciples to threaten him. How could that be nothing? Although Duan Lingtian's family should not be implicated, Lu Yun did not think Duan Lingtian was in the wrong. After all, Tiandong was the one who had gone too far. If Tiandong did not want to help Dong Lin teach his junior brother Ling Tian a lesson, would his junior brother Ling Tian have threatened him? What happened after that? Did Vice Hall Master Dong look for trouble with you? Lu Yun's tone turned solemn when he mentioned Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall. Dong Yuanjin was ruthless. Otherwise, Lu Yun would not have acted in such a manner. No. Duan Lingtian shook his head. Perhaps he felt his son was in the wrong. Moreover, news of this matter hasn't spread, so he didn't look for trouble with me. He felt his son was in the wrong? Lu Yun could not help but laugh when he heard Duan Lingtian's words. At the same time, he continued to speak through voice transmission. Junior brother Ling Tian, Vice Hall Master Dong treats Dong Lin as his life. He might not have made a move on you for now, but I'm sure he'll make a move on you sooner or later. Perhaps he's looking for a good opportunity to deal a fatal blow to you. You must not leave the Zoroastrianism for now, so that Dong Yuanjin won't have an opportunity to take advantage of you. Lu Yun warned Duan Lingtian again and again when he reached the end of his sentence. His tone was as solemn as it could be. All right. Although Duan Lingtian agreed readily, he was inwardly non-committal since he had already made up his mind to leave the fire worship sect. If he did not leave the Zoroastrianism, he would not be able to improve his innate spiritual root at all. Currently, his innate spiritual root was already a blue innate spiritual root, so it was much more difficult for him to improve his innate spiritual root. It was not realistic for him to improve his innate spiritual root under the Zoroastrianism. I've got it. At this moment, a thought appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind as he thought of a way to leave the Zoroastrianism. Once he used this method, he was certain Dong Yuanjin, the Vice Hall Master of the Enforcement Hall, and Lian, the Black Turtle Sanctum's first Silver Flame Elder, would not know he had left the Zoroastrianism. However, he would need someone to help him with this method. Soon after, a figure appeared in Duan Lingtian's mind. If he's willing to help, let alone Lian, even Dong Yuanjin won't suspect him. Duan Lingtian sighed in relief when he thought of a way to leave the Zoroastrianism. After leaving the Enforcement Hall, they approached the central square of the Saint Island. The 8 true disciples who came with Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun dispersed one after another. Some of them went to the central square while the rest went to other places. Only one true disciple continued to walk with Duan Lingtian and Lu Yun out of the Saint Island. It was obvious he was going to return to his residence. Junior brother Ling Tian, I'll go look for brother Mu. I'm sure he must have heard about the severing of ties between us. I'll explain it to him so he won't misunderstand. After Lu Yun bade farewell to Duan Lingtian, he turned around and made his way to the residence of the Saint Lan disciples before disappearing in just a blink of an eye. At this moment, only one true disciple was left with Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian. When Duan Lingtian was about to leave the Saint Island and return to his residence, a thunderous voice sounded from the central square again. Duan Lingtian instinctively came to a halt and frowned. He was certain this was his first time hearing this person's voice. This was enough to prove he had never heard this person speak before. And it was this kind of person who, when calling out his name, was extremely impolite, aggressive, and full of hostility. Who's that? Duan Lingtian was still wondering who the owner of the voice was when he saw 2 figures flying toward the central square. In the direction of the central square, 2 figures stepped into the air and flew towards him with long tails behind them. With just a glance, Duan Lingtian recognized one of the 2 figures. Wen Yin? Duan Lingtian raised an eyebrow. He did not expect one of the 2 figures to be Wen Yin. However, Duan Lingtian merely glanced at Wen Yin indifferently before his eyes shifted to the young man next to her. Was that his voice earlier? Duan Lingtian studied the young man from top to bottom. He was certain this was his first time seeing this person. Senior brother Bu Hong. At this moment, the true disciple who was standing near Duan Lingtian from the enforcement hall also recognized the young man next to Wen Yin. After he exclaimed in surprise, he quickly moved to the side to keep a distance from Duan Lingtian. Chapter 2059. Bu Hong? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he heard the true disciple's words. Although he had never met this person before, he had heard of this person more than once. Bu Hong was a true disciple who was ranked second on the true ranking. He had broken through to the third form of the Saint Celestial stage a few years ago. He was one of the pillars among the true disciples of the Zoroastrianism. Apart from that, he was also ranked second among the 8 great young prodigies of the Zoroastrianism. Apart from that, he was also the direct disciple of the sanctum leader of the Azure Dragon Sanctum, one of the 4 symbol sanctums of the Zoroastrianism. He was also the senior brother of Wen Yin, who was ranked 9th on the true ranking in the past. The reason it was mentioned in the past was because after Duan Lingtian had entered the 4th place on the true ranking, he had caused the people ranked 4th to 9th on the true ranking to drop by a rank. As for the person who was ranked 10th on the true ranking, he was directly disqualified from the true ranking. Currently, Wen Yin was ranked 10th on the true ranking. She was the gatekeeper of the true ranking. She could be replaced at any time. The second on the true ranking? The third form of the Saint Celestial stage? Duan Lingtian narrowed his eyes when he found out the young man next to Wen Yin was Bu Hong. He could tell the young man had come with ill intentions. It was obvious the young man was here to avenge Wen Yin. Duan Lingtian was mentally prepared for this. I didn't expect Bu Hong to return while I was on duty in the enforcement hall. Duan Lingtian realized Bu Hong must have returned to the Zoroastrianism not long ago. Otherwise, he would not have waited until now to look for trouble with him. Senior brother. He's Duan Lingtian. From afar, Wen Yin could not help but point at Duan Lingtian as she said to Bu Hong, who was standing next to her. That day, he was the one who gave me a few slaps in public and made me lose all my face. It doesn't matter if I'm humiliated. But the way he treated me not only humiliated me, but also humiliated senior brother and master. Those who don't know might think that senior martial brother can't protect junior martial sister, and that master can't protect his own personal disciple. As Wen Yin spoke, she cried and complained to Bu Hong, who was beside her, in an attempt to infuriate him even more. Don't worry, junior sister. With senior brother here today, I'll definitely get justice for you. Hearing Wen Yin's tearful complaint, Bu Hong looked at her dotingly. When he shifted his gaze from Wen Yin to Duan Lingtian, who was standing in the distance, a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes as though he was about to devour someone. Reality proved that Wen Yin's crying was useful. She had successfully provoked Bu Hong's wrath. In the entire Zoroastrianism, the 2 most important people to Bu Hong were his junior martial sister, Wen Yin, and his master. At this moment, the true disciple named Duan Lingtian, standing in the distance, had not only humiliated his junior martial sister in public, but he had also indirectly slapped his master's face. How could he not be angry? The group of Saint Lan disciples following behind Bu Hong and Wen Yin naturally came to watch the show out of boredom. Earlier, Bu Hong's earth-shattering shout had, naturally, alerted them. When they recalled Duan Lingtian had left the enforcement hall today, they knew there would be a good show to watch. Senior brother Bu Hong seems to be very angry. How can he not be angry? Senior martial sister Wen Yin is his only junior martial sister. It's no wonder he's angry after being humiliated by Duan Lingtian. That's right. If it wasn't for the fact that senior brother Bu Hong wasn't in Zoroastrianism, he would have gone to look for senior brother Duan Lingtian. With senior brother Duan Lingtian's current strength, I'm afraid he's not strong enough to deal with senior brother Bu Hong. Of course, senior brother Bu Hong is ranked second on the true ranking in Zoroastrianism. His cultivation base has already broken through to the 3rd form of the Saint Celestial stage a few years ago. How can Duan Lingtian, who's ranked 4th on the true ranking, be compared to him? It seems like Duan Lingtian is going to be unlucky today. Perhaps his innate talent is not bad, but I'm afraid his current strength is far from being a match for senior brother Buhong. The group of Saint Lan disciples who followed Buhong and Wen Yin to watch the show did not think Duan Lingtian would win. Naturally, there were a few people who disagreed. Hermf. If I'm not mistaken, in the past, whether it was senior brother Duan Lingtian facing Yang Wan or Wen Yin, all of you seem to think Duan Lingtian was inferior to them. What happened in the end? That's right. All of you were humiliated by senior brother Duan Lingtian every time. I admit that I used to look down on senior brother Duan Lingtian. However, every time something happened, I would feel embarrassed. It was as though someone had humiliated me. Senior brother Duan Lingtian isn't someone who can be judged with common sense. No matter who you think highly of this time, I'm certain senior brother Duan Lingtian will win. So what if he's a powerhouse at the third form of the Saint Celestial stage? He'll still be defeated. Although these few voices were supporting Duan Lingtian, due to the small number of people, their voices were drowned out by the voices of the other people. It was as if they did not exist at all. Even more people felt that Duan Lingtian was destined to be unlucky to encounter Buhong. At the same time, Buhong and Wen Yin stood side by side near Duan Lingtian. They stood in the air as they faced Duan Lingtian. Duan Lingtian, do you still remember how you humiliated me that day? Wen Yin, who was staring coldly at Duan Lingtian, took the initiative to ask in a deep voice, "Humiliated? What humiliated?" Duan Lingtian asked calmly in the face of Wen Yan's overbearing words. As he spoke, it was as if he was talking about something unimportant. Wen Yin was so angry that her expression changed immediately. She said coldly, "Duan Lingtian, you're a man. Don't tell me you don't dare to admit what you've done." "Admit what?" Duan Lingtian continued to say calmly, "Don't tell me you want to say that I humiliated you? Don't tell me you didn't?" Wen Yan's gaze turned cold. Her tone was so cold that it made people feel as though they had fallen into an ice cave. "Don't tell me you've forgotten how you slapped me a few times in public that day? Don't tell me you don't think that's considered a humiliation?" Wen Yan's expression turned ugly when she took the initiative to bring up the past. In the end, it even became twisted and ferocious. It was obvious how angry Wen Yin was now. "Oh, so you're talking about that. I almost forgot about it if you didn't mention it." After hearing Wen Yan's words, Duan Lingtian suddenly realized something. He said calmly, "When I slapped you a few times in public that day, I didn't have any intention of humiliating you." Duan Lingtian paused for a while before he said, "You're not worthy of being humiliated by me, Wen Yin. I only slapped you a few times because I don't like you. That's all." As soon as Duan Lingtian finished speaking, Wen Yin was so angry that her face turned red. She was at a loss for words for a long time. Whoosh! The group of Saint Lan disciples who came to watch the show broke out in an uproar as well. All of them had a shocked expression on their faces. Isn't Duan Lingtian a little too insolent? He actually said Wen Yin isn't worthy of being humiliated by him? Doesn't he know the person standing next to Wen Yin is senior brother Buhong? Look, senior brother Buhong's expression has darkened. Senior brother Buhong must not have expected Duan Lingtian to be so arrogant in front of him. However, this is enough to prove that Duan Lingtian really doesn't recognize senior brother Buhong. I'm afraid Duan Lingtian still doesn't know he's kicked an iron plate. As the disciples of the Saint Lands began to cause a ruckus, Buhong's expression became even more unsightly. It was so dark that it seemed as though water could drip from his face. "You're Duan Lingtian, right?" Buhong's eyes flashed with killing intent as he stared at Duan Lingtian. He was like a venomous snake that would pounce at any moment. However, Duan Lingtian ignored Buhong's question. Instead, he looked at Wen Yin and said indifferently, "Wen Yin, do you think you don't have to be afraid of me anymore now that you have a helper? So what if I do?" Wen Yin did not expect Duan Lingtian would dare to ignore her senior brother. Although she was excited, she replied coldly to Duan Lingtian. The reason why she was excited was because she discovered that her senior brother Buhong's anger had risen even further. All of this was Duan Lingtian's fault. Duan Lingtian actually dared to disregard her senior brother. He was simply seeking death. Yes? Duan Lingtian laughed when he received Wen Yan's confirmation. However, Duan Lingtian only laughed for a while before he retracted his smile. His gaze suddenly turned cold as his figure flashed out. Under Wen Yan's unguarded state, he swiftly charged towards her in a menacing manner. Let me tell you something. Even if your senior brother is by your side, I, Duan Ling Tian, can slap you if I want to. When Duan Ling Tian charged toward Wen Yin at lightning speed, his voice resonated in the air, shocking everyone present on the scene. You're seeking death. Bu Hong was stunned for a moment before he regained his senses. His expression changed drastically as he charged toward Duan Ling Tian. It was obvious he wanted to stop Duan Ling Tian from making a move on Wen Yin. Slap. However, the crisp sound of a slap rang in the air. Half of Wen Yan's face was swollen again. Bu Hong did not make it in time to save her. The Saint Lan disciples present on the scene were dumbfounded. They did not expect Duan Ling Tian would be so arrogant. Duan Ling Tian actually dared to act so boldly in front of Bu Hong, who was ranked second on the true ranking. He slapped Wen Yin so hard that half of her face was swollen in front of Bu Hong. Gasp, 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 gasp. Most of the Saint Lan disciples present on the scene could not help but gasp. Many Saint Lan disciples looked at Duan Ling Tian with a hint of pity in their eyes. Die. A furious voice rang in the air as the group of Saint Lan disciples shifted their attention to Bu Hong, who was moving at lightning speed. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.